Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 79. I am your host back in the basement with my co-host, Teenage Son. That guy over there, it's Jack. Say hi, Jack.
No, you're that guy over there.
I am that guy over here.
Sup, peeps.
So, I don't know what's new with us. We are finishing up isolating, I guess, because...
Not my fault.
There's not actually COVID in the house, but... Your little brother came home from our first day back at school after a brief online learning stint, right? We made it one day. He came home with multiple symptoms of COVID, a headache and a sore throat. So we gave him a COVID test. He tested negative, but due to the protocols where we live, that means all four of us are off school and work, isolating for 5 days. So we thought we'd just gotten out of the whole, like, hey, we're going back to school.
I literally got 1 day.
1 day. So we are back.
And then we get 1 day before nothing.
Right. And then we go back to work and school on Tuesday.
But then it's culminating and stuff. So.
And then, yes, the end of the semester for you. So that kind of things slow down. You might get a couple more days off if you're caught up in all your work because your school has gotten rid of exams for high school students this year. So, and last year. So, anyways, we're just sort of, everybody's fine, everybody's healthy. Basically, Nate, your brother, took the children's Advil, right, and was fine. Like, I was a bit nervous because he looked rough when we got home. He wasn't gaming, right, which was a sign there was something wrong, and then he was just in his bed, so he looked pretty bad, took a couple Advil, and then rebounded really quickly and has been fine ever since, but we're just trying to do what we're supposed to do to keep everybody safe, so we've just been isolating.
It did get me out of a test, so
it did get you out of a geography test, right? So we've just been sort of homebound and hanging out here, so I don't know what's new in your week of...
Cat birthday yesterday.
Oh, yes, our cat turned 6 yesterday. That's a big deal. You went out and got her a present before we were isolating, obviously.
I think the only day that I could have, or was it the day before? I don't know. It was before we isolated. I think it was Tuesday.
So you went out and grabbed her some toys and things, which she seemed to appreciate and play with.
One of them was in her water this morning. Some
birds showed up, even though it's the dead of winter. Like, they knew it was her birthday, right outside her favorite window for her to...
She still didn't.
Not really that interested,
which
ironically enough.
It was not...
It's because she's a cat, and I wanted her to be excited about it.
Oh,
so
right.
Cats go, nah, too bad, human.
Right. Yeah,
we do what we want, which I respect. But, yeah, so she had a lovely day of napping wherever she wanted to, like every other day of her life. So, and then, I don't know, anything else exciting happened this week with us? Can't think of it.
No.
No, I can't think of anything either. So
I don't think so.
You guys did get a snowboarding day before the isolation, which was good because we got, what was it? 3 months worth of snow in 16 hours or something like that. So lots of snow for us where
otherwise
we live right
we would
now.
have been at school on
That's
Monday and Tuesday. Right, I forgot about that.
That is correct. We had that so much snow buses were canceled for 2 days, even though it didn't snow the second day, right? So it was
weird.
Pretty interesting. But anyways, I think we might have mentioned that last week. I think it happened on Saturday. So if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. But when you haven't left the house for several days, there's not much new to report. I don't know. Does that mean we should move on to talking about some wrestling already?
I think so.
I think so too. We watched a lot of wrestling this week. I even got you to sort of watch Impact Wrestling, right? So you'll have maybe the odd contribution when we get there. But anyways, I say we start talking about wrestling now. And that is our first segment, which is always looking at the week's news and rumors. So taking a quick look at the ratings, Tuesday's live edition of WWE NXT 2.0 drew 587,000 viewers, down 9.27%, and earned a .11 in the key demo, which is down 21.42%. So this was the third lowest audience since the NXT 2.0 rebranding, and I think I've got it in a news story later on that there's some backstage rumblings that people are not happy with the way NXT 2.0 is going in terms of viewership and stuff like that.
But we'll get to
can't imagine who's not loving this fabulous brand. And then to contrast that, Wednesday's live AEW Dynamite drew 1.032 million viewers, so they went up 6.5% and earned a .44 rating in that key demographic, which is up 12.82%. And they actually, just a little note I added here, they defeated Raw in that key demo rating, which I always like to see, and I'm sure Vince hates to see, so that it makes me even happier about it. They ranked number 1 in the cable top 150 this week with that .44, and they drew their best audience since the second anniversary episode on October 6th. So all in all, a pretty good numbers for Dynamite, not so good for NXT, which kind of makes sense to me at least, right?
Yep.
And then I thought I'd do my periodic check-in on Impact, right? So just off of a pretty well-received hard-to-kill pay-per-view and this ROH invasion that they're sort of experimenting with here, I thought I'd take a look. So Thursday, it was a taped edition of Impact Wrestling. It drew, it makes me giggle every time, 126,000 viewers, which isn't many. I shouldn't laugh. It's up 13.51%, and they earned a .03 in the key demographic. So almost up 14%. It seems like maybe they're seeing a little bit of a uptick from probably that pay-per-view that, I mean, I gave it a C+ because I didn't enjoy the second half of it, but I've since seen a lot of people really like the entire show. So, and that being coupled with ROH kind of showing up, I guess has helped them a little bit, which is good. I would like all wrestling to do well. I guess it's good for.
I think like another part of them, the ROH people showing up, is because there's not really. What else are they doing?
Right, they don't have anywhere else to be right now. But yeah, it's not the ROH people I would have chosen to have in Impact. But anyways, it's something a little bit different and I guess interesting for people. What do you have for us?
Well, probably one of the biggest talking points of the week was Walter's new name on NXT. After defeating Roderick Strong, he said the winner of the match is Gunther.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in my review.
Gunther.
And then
Gunther.
why don't you talk about what the last name was and what happened with that?
So they went with like Gunther Stark, which is a Nazi
U-boat commander or something like that, I think.
Yeah. So basically Nazi name.
So basically they either did absolutely zero research on this or they did and they didn't care, which makes it almost worse. So either way they look incredibly stupid here. What are your thoughts on this name change and all of the...
I think it's probably one of my least favorite name changes they've ever done. Like, I pretty much dislike them doing it every time. But this one's just really stupid. Like, he's always been Walter. He was a champion for over 100 days as Walter.
Right.
He competed as Walter like 2 weeks ago on the show. He's been Walter. His real name was Walter, so that's why they changed it, I guess, because they want to control his name. But I think it's so stupid, especially because of how poorly researched it was.
Right, and that's we were talking about it before, sort of off the air. This is, I think, an indication of how they feel about NXT UK, right? Like, they think that nobody watches this, which might be true. I don't know, but...
No, but I feel like, I don't know, it's Walter.
Yeah, I try not to let much WWE does bother me anymore, but this one really did bother me. Like, this is a guy who is recognized around the world by the name Walter. He's been on your product wrestling multiple times in North America.
It's like because he was on UK as Walter, like, and they don't care about that. But like literally, like at the beginning of this month, he was on the show as Walter.
He had one of your best received matches of 2020, right? With Dragunov on your
and 2021 as well, because that was the rematch.
And so it's very, very frustrating.
Which was in the US too.
They're clearly back into this mode of we will give you a name so that we own that name and the rights going forward. This one really bothers me. I think Walter is my favorite WWE performer right now. So yes, Jack is pulling out his...
Now I have probably the only Walter figure in existence now.
A Walter Elite figure still in the packaging.
Yeah, because I actually got a second one. But, I mean, I'm glad my roster is so up to date that I already have Gunther, right? So that's pretty cool.
That's right. So apparently they've already dropped the trademark on the full name. What was it? Gunther Stark or whatever?
Yeah.
So apparently they've realized their mistake there, which a 5-second Google search would have cleared up, right? Like, I don't understand.
I can literally do that right now, but I don't know if I want to do
that. So anyways, they've dropped that trademark. He is Gunther. I hate it. I try not to use that word very often. I try and limit your use of that word, but I truly do hate this decision and the result of this. Yeah,
it's one of my least favorite name changes they've ever done. I think a lot of them are, like, sometimes it's like, I think Antonio Cesaro to Cesaro, sure, Biggie Langston was lame. Alexander Rusev, that's not great.
And I will
Adrian Neville, like, but I always dislike things like Buddy Murphy, or now Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo just drop their last names, or one of my least favorite ones along with Walter was the Viking Raiders. That one was stupid.
So there was a chance, I think a good chance, that they were going to reduce Walter to just one name anyways. So I guess they're just a little bit, because they seem to love doing that, right?
Right.
So maybe
I mean,
it's just
he was
a bit
already Walter.
doing
like,
that.
come on.
But yeah, I give you grief sometimes because you just refuse to call people by their new names. Like you refused to call Riddle Riddle for a while. He was still Matt Riddle.
He's Matt Riddle. That one's stupid too, because like it's like you could like I don't know, it's not that different. Why can't you just call him Matt Riddle? I feel like just Riddle as a name is stupid too. I'm never calling him Riddle.
So despite me giving you grief for doing that, I will probably continue to call Walter for quite a while because I just
I'm gonna call him Walter for as long as I freaking can.
My own personal protest to this stupidity.
Exactly. I'm gonna go with that for as long as I can.
They've tried to just sort of kill the recognition of what I think is one of the best talents they have in that whole company.
But Bearcat Lee, that was also stupid.
Yeah, that's another one that's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So my other news item so far is that Sami Zayn apparently has re-signed with WWE, which I think was kind of expected. So word is from Fightful Select that he signed a multi-year contract with WWE. No word on the exact length of the deal, but it could be most likely for 3 years because that seems to be what most talent are signing for recently, including Zayn's like best friend in real life, right? Kevin Owens last month. So again, there isn't room for everyone in AEW. Sami Zayn is an intelligent person who's been in this industry forever. So if he believes this is what's best for himself and his family, I fully support him and am happy with him because I'm sure he had options, right? And this is what he's chosen for himself. So good for him. And a little disappointing that he's staying in main roster.
I think it just sucks because I don't think he'll ever make it big anymore. I think he'll always be mid-card. Because I feel like he kind of had potential to be like a Daniel Bryan-esque world champion. Like, I feel like
I agree.
Given the right circumstances, they could totally make him like Universal Champion or something, but they'll never do that.
No.
And I think this heel run he was good in that heel run. I think 2020 was a great year for him when he was doing that shtick. But I think, like Seth Rollins, Seth freaking Rollins. No, I'm not doing that.
You have to,
that was
apparently.
Stupid. No, that was stupid too. But like Rollins, I feel like their heel shticks have gotten stale, especially with Rollins now in this program with Roman Reigns. I really think that he needs to go back to full face. I think the whole drip god thing needs to kind of wane. And I feel like I don't think Rollins would win at Rumble. I feel like he could maybe beat Roman at Mania again, like in a rematch.
I could see that. But
say Rollins wins at the Rumble, they seem to be kind of teasing like, oh, if Rollins wins, then him and Owens will face off at Mania. And I could see if Rollins goes full face, then Owens goes full heel again, and then you have a revitalization of the Owens-Rollins feud from 2016.
Right. It's all possible.
I think that's good for him, probably like financially and whatnot. But I feel like I don't know how much he's gonna get done.
And there's something to be said for like the grass isn't always greener, right? He knows WWE, he knows how to maneuver within their system, he knows what to expect. He's probably making pretty good money and he's comfortable and he doesn't have to.
Some people might think he's insane, huh?
You don't have to move your family or uproot any of your lifestyle. So I get it. And yeah, just because you mentioned it, I was listening to a Raw review podcast and they were just so annoyed with how it's now Seth freaking Rollins every time commentary mentions him, apparently. Like, they never
bad.
They never just call him Seth Rollins now. You have to throw in the freaking.
The worst part, so I thought that was fine. I was like, he's like, sometimes I'm like Seth freaking Rollins, and that's fine. I thought it was fine. Like, I thought it was good even, but like, I don't think it belongs in his actual name every time. I don't need to see it in writing every time. I don't need to hear it every time I hear his name.
If he wants to use it himself, or if people representing him want to use it, right, as like emphasis, fine. But commentary like using it every time
in his actual name, right? It's so stupid.
What else do you have for us?
Chris Jericho filed a trademark for GFY, which he used on Dynamite, which is basically just go F yourself.
Right.
And he even says it like that too. Like he said to Eddie Kingston, you can GFY.
Yes.
Which I thought was so stupid.
Doesn't seem worthwhile to me to be doing that, but also, I don't know, maybe he's got plans.
Another weird Jericho thing.
Mustafa Ali has asked for his WWE release, which you'd think would be no problem because they release like 80 people a year, right?
But now they're refusing to release them.
So the second part there is Fightful's reporting that WWE has no plans to grant him his release. So that's unfortunate because he would be a guy that could do a lot of things elsewhere, pretty much anywhere elsewhere.
He was one of the best ones in the Cruiserweight division when that was prominent.
He's a good wrestler. He's got a cool actual story in real life that they have sort of teased going with and then just abandoned, right, as a former police officer. I think they did have big plans
for him, remember? Because the Kofi Mania was supposed to be him. I don't know if like he would have won and everything, but like at least that was like at least a plan for him at one point.
Right, and he's a talented wrestler, obviously. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to be released. I don't know when his contract ends, but he's stuck with WWE. It's funny, you've got one story where a guy's choosing to re-sign, and another story where a guy wants out and can't get out. Right?
Yeah, that's funny.
Anything else?
There was another pre-SmackDown Dark match featuring the NXT boys.
Yep.
But this time it was Roderick Strong and LA Knight, with LA Knight going over, which I figured. LA Knight seems like a guy they would be interested in.
He does. He very much is. I think I describe him in my NXT review later as Dollar Store Rock at this point, right? I find him, and it's funny because I used to, when he was Eli Drake and in like Impact and other places, I'd be like, he's really good on the mic, but I'm just tired of him now.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something has worn out for me about it.
I remember too when he was there. I loved Eli Drake. I thought he was because it's funny that he was feuding with Grimes actually. Remember, because weren't they were affiliated? Yeah, yep. I think, and then also Caleb with a K.
Caleb with the K.
Caleb Conley. Way back.
One of your favorites. I really like him too. You like him more, but Buddy Matthews, FKA Buddy Murphy.
Whoa! It was Murphy, right?
So when I made these notes, it was saying he was going to make his MLW debut in Dallas. So I don't know if he has at this point. I think he would have.
I know. I think it was advertised for Blood and Thunder.
It is. It's supposed to be at MLW Blood and Thunder, and he's taking advantage of MLW's open door policy. So I don't think the implication is that he's necessarily signed with MLW, but he's taking advantage of their policy of you can come in and wrestle.
Waste. He could have killed it in WWE.
He could, but he's a bit short, I think, is the problem, right? He's not a huge man.
I would like to see him in AEW or something. I think he'd do good there.
He's terrific.
I don't want him in Impact. I think he's above that. I think there's quite a ceiling in there.
There is. I think he'd actually fit pretty well in Impact because his
I think so, but I just feel
character
like
work's not great. In ring, he's awesome.
There's a lot of a ceiling there, I feel like. Which is just not great.
But AEW, it's like, how much room is there for him, right? He'd be an awesome X Division competitor.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. So there's a couple segments confirmed for Beach Break next week. So the updated card is CM Punk will address the crowd, which is probably MJF related.
Yep.
And also Britt Baker will address the crowd, which is something. I don't know what that's
gonna be. Nothing, brother.
And then the matches that we'll have next week we have Inner Circle, which is Jericho, Santana Ortiz versus Garcia in 2.0, Red Velvet versus Layla Hirsch, which is a later edition, ladder match, which is Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara for TNT title.
Again.
Even though one of them's an interim champion.
2 weeks interim.
And then the lights out match between Cole and Orange Cassidy.
So I don't find that a super stacked card. You know what I mean?
I think it's pretty good. I mean, I think the two matches are kind of like...
Just limit Jericho's time in the ring in that match, and I'm fine.
Yeah, no, that match looks good, and I think the ladder match will probably be great.
Yeah, despite how we feel about the interim nonsense.
And I feel like it's kind of random, but I think like the lights out match will be really good.
Yeah, I think so too.
Those have good track record.
Yeah, they'll find something to do with it. So yeah, that's at least it's another sort of special episode, which AEW tends to deliver on. So I'm hopeful that it'll be fun to watch.
But Beach Break at the end of January.
Yeah, in Chicago, right? Which is Johnny Gargano's
No, it
home?
was Cleveland.
Or Cleveland?
Yeah.
So do we think Gargano's... I don't think he is.
Chance. Maybe he beats up Cole.
I think he stays in WWE is my hunch. I have no reason.
I know, like child and baby or child.
Similar to Sami Zayn, right? And his newborn baby with his wife still under contract.
Seems to be doing a lot like that WWE wouldn't, like he's been streaming and whatnot. Like I feel like then he goes back and then he's just given that.
I saw somebody started streaming again. Woods, but streaming on YouTube because I think it's like they're like, ooh, it's one of the ones that they haven't banned. So he's
right because they have up, down, down, which I think is like one of the what would you, exceptions.
Right. So
that's the word.
I don't know if he's looking for ways to circumvent their silly rules and regulations or whatever. But anyways, that's the last piece of news I have is some new details apparently being revealed on internal unhappiness over the WWE NXT 2.0 brand. Wow.
My initial reaction was like, how could you not be disappointed with this?
Like this is, you're right. This probably
is a colossal disappointment.
This doesn't fit under news so much. This is like no duh section sort of thing, right? Like So what
it does make me happy to hear though, because it's like, suck it, you guys suck.
Well, that people are aware, right, that not everybody thinks this is amazing. So officials are said to be disappointed with the 2.0 brand in its first 4 months. It's already been 4 months.
Oh my god, that is insane. That's so depressing.
With a feeling that they thought more fans would have gravitated towards the newer superstars quicker than they have.
Oh, I'm sorry I didn't like Tony D'Angelo.
Not only did you not gravitate towards it,
I gravitated away from it.
And you're the demographic they want. And you're like, this is stupid.
I literally quit.
Whereas me, the old man, right, which is not, I'm even young for their demographic they're actually getting. We'll talk about that in a second, but I'm still...
That's true, you're like...
I'm still suffering through it.
That's so funny.
So a lot of the blame...
exact opposite of what they would want.
A lot of the blame apparently is being put on the abruptness of how everything changed. How it was basically like, it's black and gold one week, and next week it's just gone,
it was
and
like,
everything's changed.
Literally the next week everything turned to crap, and it was just all of a sudden, oh, this sucks.
And then the quote-unquote fan perception of the product isn't helping either, the same source sort of said.
No, duh.
So it's funny, I told you this, I had you guess. You were close to being, you were definitely in the ballpark. So one goal was to have a younger audience, but the median viewer age, and if you need a reminder in what median is, that's where half of the viewers are older than this and half of the viewers are younger than this. The median age for this week's NXT was 61. 61 years old.
That's so awesome.
Half of the audience for NXT
is above 61.
So half of their 587,000 viewers this week are over the age of 61.
Right,
which
like Vince's age or something.
Is exactly the opposite of what they're going for.
That's so funny.
They are not attracting the demographic they want. They are actually turning them away, and they are attracting a demographic, or keeping, I guess. I don't know if they're attracting anyone. I think they're just keeping the older audience and not bringing in anyone younger. So that made me laugh, because that is what they get for putting out a consistently lackluster product week after week
it could have been fine if you just like made like a like kind of like a not super noticeable move toward developmental. Right. You can keep it black and gold. You can just kind of like keep the people, like I would say keep it the same, just maybe start integrating more developmental people and it would all be fine. But they took the stupidest possible route to this.
Like, what about if you're gonna get rid of the Cruiserweight Championship, how about rebranding it like the Developmental Championship? And that's the
or
one.
Like the Rising. I've seen
Rising
like
Stars, sure.
Right, yeah. Like I've seen this one guy who does like a pick fed with like like figure promotion, whatever. And like he has like a Rising Star Championship, which is that's not a bad way to say like here's like a like that'd be like a kind of like a starting out title, like a title to give to like people who like you have plans for maybe.
And if you love Braun Breaker, he wins that right away.
Exactly.
And then he progresses quickly.
I think like him with the NXT title, like he's not the worst of the NXT 2.0 bunch, but I don't think he should be a main champion yet.
And it would be a way of easing into like we are transitioning to some younger, less experienced talent,
It was just like
so
the
that's
most
fine.
Abrupt and awful change I've ever seen in my entire life.
And then they can move up to North American, then they can move up to the main NXT championship.
Or like you can also start them with the tag title run. That's fine too.
But instead they decided like you're going to show up next week and the show is completely different in terms of look, in terms of people. And I will never
forgive them because one of the first things they did was A, put Braun Breaker in a match, and B, put Von Wagner in a match where the NXT title is on the line.
That's
I will never forgive them for that.
Without any prep of that, right? No. They just switched him for who was supposed to be in it?
O'Reilly.
Right, and then he was...
O'Reilly.
Right. So they just thought, I don't know what they thought, but it's clearly not having the effect they want, and apparently some people that matter are not happy with the 2.0 performance so far. I'm done for news. Do you have anything else?
No, I do not.
All right, so let's move into taking a look at a weekly episode of wrestling that we always start out with, and that is going over this week's AEW Dynamite.
And we kick off the show with Jon Moxley's return promo as he is returned.
Sure do. Yeah, all clean and sober now, which is great for him, right?
Yeah, and right off the bat, you can hear someone like...
Oh my goodness!
It was something about like get that drunk out of the ring or something.
And Mox was not having it at all.
Yeah, and they left that, which I thought was kind of funny.
They left a full F-bomb in, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, did they? Was it censored for us or not?
I don't think so.
I know it wasn't a lot of places in the States. I don't think it was here either.
I don't remember it being censored.
Me either.
I don't think so.
Good for Mox. basically saying, get this guy out of here kind of thing, right? So I don't know if they did or not. I didn't hear anything afterwards, but he wasn't having it anyways.
Yeah. So he talks about falling asleep on a plane once and not knowing where he woke up. He says, nobody gets through life unscathed, and we all get scars, and what's important are the scars we carry inside. So, like, when you get stabbed with a knife, and the knife goes inside you, so then you have a scar inside you, right?
I guess so.
And those are the scars that make us who we are. He says he is sure that there are plenty of people who want to write him off and doubt him, but if they want to write him off, he'll tell them to shove it up their ass.
Yep.
He says he doesn't run from demons. He beats the crap out of them. He says he thanks everyone for supporting him and tells them to buckle up. He says now more than ever he is free. And he says if there's anyone who thinks they can put him through more hell, he says he is thirsty and nowadays all he drinks is blood.
Yeah. I thought it was really shaky to start. Like, I was like, this is, about the worst Mox has sounded to me in a long time. But then he really picked up momentum, and I thought by the end this was excellent. Like, a passionate, honest promo. And the final line about all I drink now is blood, I thought was a killer final line for this, right? I know I always say I like shows to start with a match, but I think you have to start with Moxley here under the circumstances, right? I thought he did a fantastic job. The crowd response was excellent. It is great to have him back. I'm super glad that he's healthy and happy.
I also saw after his match on Rampage, he walked by Danielson.
Oh, nice. I thought this was an excellent promo and just the right length, too. It didn't drag on. It didn't ramble. He was focused. He said what he needed to say, and I thought it was pretty great by the end of it.
Yeah, I thought it was really good as well. It started out really shaky, like you said, but it just seemed kind of off, but it didn't seem to be going anywhere. But once he got his footing, he ended up delivering a customarily good promo, and he ended it well. It doesn't, like, make it super clear because it's kind of like an open-ended thing.
Right.
But I think that's fine because it was just a return promo. And it served that purpose well.
And I'm fine if they go back to, like, the gimmick he was working before, right? Where everything he does is to get back to his child, his family, and that the only way to make sure that he's healthy and doesn't get hurt is to just be super aggressive and kill everybody he faces. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I would love him versus Danielson. Oh my god,
yes.
That'd be amazing. I feel like that'd be a good match in WWE regardless, but I feel like in AEW it's a whole nother animal, which right. I think that would be just so great.
Yep.
I think it's another L for Brian, which is not the best, but I feel like now that, like you say, with who was it, Macklin, they've kind of broken that seal.
Right, the floodgates are open.
Yeah, so now you can kind of allow. I always just find it weird because in my head I would like, once you have someone like who's undefeated, they kind of take a loss. I would like not have them lose again.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's fine and all, but I feel like personally, I'd like to like have them at least built like a bit, at least maybe get like a victory even.
Sometimes it depends, like it's a case by case if that character can take more losses or not,
I think
right?
Brian could if it's someone like Mox.
Probably,
just kills him.
Yep.
Next we get a quick segment with MJF backstage and Wardlow. He talks about Punk not taking the loss last week like a man after the powerbomb. Something he took the easy way out with the cheap roll up, saying like he had the tights and whatnot. MJF apologizes for losing his cool last week, so it seems like he's actually being sincere, right? He's like,
yes.
Wardlow's been with him for however long, whatnot, and then he says, but Wardlow put his hands on him, he's docking his pay.
Right.
And like the apology is his birthday present.
Yeah.
And he says he'll give him a pay raise if he racks up wins and wins the Revolution ladder match to get MJF his TNT title shot.
Right, because we learned everything Wardlow does goes to MJF, right? As per his contract.
And he says he also believes in Spears, who will hand Punk his first AEW loss tonight. Oh boy, how that is so wrong.
I liked Wardlow just kind of standing right behind him and staring at him. And I liked there was a subtle shot in there, right, about Wardlow lacking seasoning that I thought was pretty funny too. And then, like you said, he kind of flips from being a little bit critical of Wardlow to sort of sucking up to him about Wardlow's birthday, and then switches back to being a jerk again. And Wardlow's kind of very subtle just reaction I think is great. Again, another like perfect length I thought of this segment. A good job of moving a few stories along, the Punk one and the Wardlow one with MJF. If I were going to nitpick slightly, I think I might be a bit more interested in the Wardlow MJF story than the MJF Punk right now, because
Wardlow... I think the MJF Punk one started off super strong, and then it's just kind of like, I feel like it got a little shaky as of late.
Well, last week it was for me because Wardlow just dominated Punk and could have pinned him at any point, right? But he listened to MJF, and that's the only reason he didn't win. So
it's
to
almost
me,
like Punk MJF is like a backdrop for
right, like
Wardlow. Yeah,
Punk
I can
is
see
the
that.
stepping stone to the bigger feud, which is Wardlow, which I don't think is how they want me to feel about it, right? But either way, I'm sure both.
I could see it being like that, yeah.
And honestly, I just added in a note here that it's rare for me to be so happy with the show starting with 2 straight speaking segments, but I thought both of these were really enjoyable.
Well, it's not a 20-minute McMahon promo.
No.
You know, it's not half bad.
That's right.
I thought it was a solid promo for MJF. I loved him like trying to smooth things over for Wardlow pretty sincerely. Like he's very good at like pretending to be sincere, and he just effortlessly slips back into douche mode, which I thought was awesome. And I like him keep continuously mentioning that Face of the Revolution ladder match again, just to kind of like keep that in the back of your mind.
That's smart.
You know, like not like it's just like this random ladder match. Like it actually kind of means something. Like he wants Wardlow to win. And he's just kind of like reminding us like that's going to be a thing at some point, right? Which I really like, just to kind of keep that fresh in the mind a little bit every now and then.
MJF is a professional, right? Like he knows what he's doing, and I think he's just a good actor who happens to be a wrestler, right? Like sometimes you get that. And he's one of them, kind of like I think Eddie Kingston's probably a good actor, you know what I mean? And
they both feel pretty like genuine.
Choose to be a wrestler, yep.
Mm-hmm. Which I mean that lends itself well. Next we come to our first match, so the opener per se, which is Adam Cole and Britt Baker versus Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander. So basically, a small guy and a dentist versus a lazy guy and an alien.
Alien, that's correct.
Yeah, sorry, Cole, I couldn't think of anything
Small
else.
Guy, wow.
A baby, haha.
Nice.
Got him. And I thought this was like, it was about as good as you could get for a mixed tag match. Like, they're never the best, but because like, especially in major promotions like this, it boils down to a dual singles match of sorts.
Yeah, it does, because the genders aren't allowed to sort of interact. I thought the AEW made some good choices in terms of trying to use those limitations as part of the match, right?
No, they do a good job of it. I think WWE is very just yeesh.
Yeah.
And I know you had your fair share of complaints of Impact in that department as well.
Because Impact is one where they actually do at times let
Tessa
the men
Blanchard
and women
was
fight.
Literally the world champion. I miss Tessa Blanchard.
But then recently, it's been
even
like
Jordan Grace at times, right?
The men have to find ways to not really hit any offense on the women,
unless your name's Rohit.
So it gets a little bit tedious after a while of watching
for sure.
it.
I think like it basically these usually like boil down to like dual singles matches with the occasional like meet in the middle. It's like think of Money in the Bank in 2020. Remember how like they did it in the building?
Oh, right.
And it was like kind of like the dual matches, but then they met like once or twice. So it's like that kind of aspect.
Yep.
I forgot, but that was bad.
I forgot about it till you said that too.
I mean, Malachi Black must have some real supernatural powers, because I believe he was one of the ones thrown off the roof by Corbin. So.
And Ray was too, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It was him and Mysterio.
I remember that.
Yeah. So right away, Baker tags out to Cole, and then little after, Cole does the same tagging out to Baker. So kind of like some heel tactics.
Right.
Which was kind of a nice bit in
here.
Right,
using that sort of limitation of this match, right? You want to fight me? Whoa, I tag out. Now you can't do anything about it. You've got to tag out, sort of thing.
And it's like, I feel like it's even like, it's more heelish here, because like, it's not like Cassie can stay in and fight like, say, Bobby Fish.
Right.
If he was teaming with Bobby Fish.
No, he's got to get out.
Right. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Yep.
Then Cassie hits Baker with the kicks of doom, which is the lazy kicks, until she stomps on his foot, and then Statlander comes in with a body slam. Ooh.
Yep. Take a drink. That's our personal game.
Tilt whirl DDT from Cassidy. Later, pendulum moonsault the apron by Statlander, and then Cassidy just hits a lazy dive where he just falls off the apron on Cole. Then they do a best friends hug and then eat some super kicks. It's very clear in this power couple who knows how to super kick. It is
Britt Baker?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It is definitely Adam Cole. He's got the super kick down to
he does for sure.
A hot tag flurry ending in a blue thunderbomb for 2 by Statlander. Later on, a fisherman's neckbreaker by Baker. A spinning out Falcon Arrow thingy by Statlander for 2. Cole covers Britt as Statlander is on the top rope and then hits a 450 anyway, so that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Beach break by Cassidy for 2. Baker hits a destroyer on the ramp to Statlander, and then a Panama Sunrise in the ring on Cassidy.
That was cool.
By Cole for a near fall. Cole, Baker, and Cassidy do their best recreation of WrestleMania 33 as Baker goes through the table. a la Rollins, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon.
Oh, when Triple H knocked Stephanie through the table?
Exactly.
Right.
That is the occasion I am referring to.
Right.
And then Cole's angry. He hits him as the ref is not paying attention. He hits a low blow and a last shot. I am not calling it the boom. Screw that. That's stupid. For the win by Cole. So, yes. And they started saying boom as he hits the finisher, which is... I like it in the entrance.
It feels like a WWE name for...
Yeah,
right?
I like the last shot better because that... It could be for any move, and I think it's like kind of a cool name.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that works so much better.
I thought the first half of this match was fun, right? They did the kind of Orange Cassidy's doing his thing and Statlander's doing the boop and stuff, and then it got a little bit more serious. I really liked the sequence with the Panama Sunrise and the Destroyer, right? That I thought was cool and led to a really believable near fall. They used, like I said, kind of a good use of the mixed tag format, right? But I feel like if I'm going to nitpick this as well, a little bit longer than maybe it needed to be. It's a way to get some more time for the women on the show, which I think is something they need to do. So I do like that. And overall, I think it was a good match. It doesn't make me super interested in a further Cole Cassidy singles match, though. Like, we kind of got a definitive win here, right? So I don't know.
I mean, he did kind of low blow.
I guess I still think the match will be good though. So yeah, I like this match. It could have been a little bit shorter, but I thought it was a good use of a mixed tag match. What about you?
I think the Elite just keep beating the Best Friends. I'm pretty sure. I think they win. I think they win a lot. Is like the whole thing. They're just handing their asses to them. I think it was a pretty solid first match on the show. Mixed tag matches are never the best stipulation, but I think they really did do their best here. They worked it well with the Simon Heels and a bit of intergender stuff, like enough just to kind of like, yeah, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty standard mixed tag, but one of the better ones I've seen with some good action. The finish was okay, and definitely the right result.
Yeah.
Considering Cole and Baker are an actual couple, and then, well, I mean, Cassie and Statlander in a faction, but
I kind of thought
whatever.
Statlander and Cassidy would win this, and that would give the heels the anger and rage to take into the
maybe
match,
Cole,
the next match.
Cassidy did put Baker through a table.
Yeah, that's definitely where they're going.
They should not be putting tables there, okay?
Right.
They should not be doing that. That's not okay.
No, it's not. Too soon.
Not funny.
Yeah.
Next
People get hurt.
Yes, I can confirm that is indeed what happens. Next we get an Inner Circle interview, which is just Jericho and Santana Ortiz.
That's right.
Still not wearing face paint. Good job. Inner Circle versus Garcia 2.0 is the thing next week. Jericho says he doesn't care about Kingston and he can GFY.
Ooh. Trademark. TM.
Ortiz says he may not care, but they do. Santana says Kingston may have had a point. He says they have always had Jericho's back in whatever battles they were facing, referring to the Elite, the Pinnacle, the American Top Team, these people, and he has never really had their back, and maybe he really is why they haven't been tag team champions. He says maybe next week they prove they don't need Jericho, and they focus on them instead of this.
Yeah, I like this. I liked immediately as soon as Jericho said he didn't care about Kingston, the look Ortiz was giving him was awesome. I think their response, Santana and Ortiz, was well delivered and made sense, and is kind of selfishly pretty much what I'm hoping for, right? I would love for Santana and Ortiz to distance themselves from Jericho and ideally join up with Kingston, who can sort of crank up their aggressiveness, right? And then because of that affiliation and sort of uptick in being more aggressive and violent.
They could totally go anti-hero with Kingston.
I want them to just move up the tag ranks until they get a title run. So I thought this segment worked, and I selfishly, I think you're the same. I'm kind of done with Jericho, so people I like Santana and Ortiz, distancing themselves from Jericho is completely fine by me.
Yeah, I thought it was a great little segment. They really cut to the chase. I agree. I like how they immediately just took no nonsense about dissing Kingston because he's still they're not just gonna fall in line because Jericho is kind of the leader, right? I like that they seem to also have given some thought to Eddie's point, which I really like because I think it's a valid point, and I think we could be setting up their split from the Inner Circle, which is exactly what I want.
Me too.
Next we get a quick Adam Cole promo. He says he's sick of Cassie, but he put his girlfriend through a table. He says he's beaten Cassie in every way possible. He thought of a way to end Cassie. He challenges him to a lights out match, and he can't wait to end his stupid career. Wait. Hold on. His finisher is a beach break. They're
Yep.
fighting at beach break. So something in that match has to happen involving a beach break.
And a table, I would assume, or something, or a scaffold or a platform.
But the table has to be somewhere safe.
So I think this is kind of an interesting stipulation for a Cassidy match, right? For a guy that's supposed to be so lazy to have access to doing whatever he wants, you would think that would benefit Cole, right? The heel who's willing to do anything versus the lazy guy who can barely get the energy to kick people. Is he really going to be using weapons and setting up stuff? So it's kind of an interesting idea, I guess. Cole was really believable here. He always is. He's a great promo. And I think the heel getting so mad about what was clearly an accident with Britt getting knocked through the table makes sense as well. I don't know if we really need Britt Baker having her man defending her, though. That's just me. I feel like she's a strong enough character to not really need that, but I guess it kind of makes sense given their relationship. And if they want to say Britt got hurt from going through the table, then it sets up, I guess, what should be an interesting match.
People go through tables a lot, though.
And Cole did a good job here. He always does. He's a great talker, so this was solid.
Although, I mean, you could say people that can get injured from going through tables.
They sure can. Right? Sometimes their arms go on backwards and stuff.
Yep, that's one of the possibilities for sure. I thought it was a solid short promo from Cole. That's not a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm fine with the lights out match next week. Should be good. It's kind of interesting given it doesn't seem super fit for either. Mainly Cassidy. As Cole's actually I remember he had that Extreme Rules match against Black. He had the one with O'Reilly, the one with Gargano, the other one with O'Reilly.
The idea that this lazy Cassidy's going to go under the ring and get a table and move it and set, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem to fit his character. So I'm interested to see what they do with it.
Yeah. Next, we get a quick Punk Spears segment. Spears says he's the guy MJF sends to make sure a message is heard and understood. Well, he's just not good at that then. Punk says this ends when he gets MJF in the ring. I thought it was fine. I like Spears' bit. But, then there's the match.
Yeah, it was a fine video, and I guess this was borne out in the match. It's really hard to get me to believe that Spears has a chance. So all of this trying to say he's gatekeeping MJF or he's the enforcer or whatever they're trying to do is not super believable, but the package itself was fine, yeah?
Yeah, then we get Shawn Spears versus CM Punk and A Slaughter. There's no notables because the finish comes immediately with the GTS.
11 seconds. My notes, RIP Shawn Spears.
Yeah.
I guess Punk did need a rehab win here after getting dominated last week.
I don't think this was...
Right. And he still... Right. He did win last week, but he kind of had to sneak out the win after, 7, 9, whatever, power bombs.
Powerbomb Symphony.
So Spears just continues to be lost in the shuffle, right, on a stacked roster. He's sort of now pigeonholed, I think, as this, that kind of lower mid-card guy.
I've always kind of liked him.
So I wasn't a big fan of the match, but at least it was quick, 11 seconds, a GTS, and it was over, right?
Yeah, it was just a GTS, something else. I didn't love it because I feel like, even though I'll never go bigger, I think Spears is a solid star. This does him a huge disservice. Nothing much else happened after the match. This didn't feel needed when it could have been a solid match, too. I think Spears is pretty good, right? So I think this had potential to be a solid match if they, actually went for it, and they just kind of, I feel like this was just kind of a bad route to go. I feel like Spears deserved at least a solid match here.
And this is a company where I have multiple times complained about the lesser talent or the low card person getting too much in against stars, and then you get this, right, where he literally gets nothing. So
right, and Spears is a credible enough guy, right? So that I feel like he could go with Punk for a bit, right? So I don't know. I feel like they should have done that.
Punk definitely needed a rehab after last week, in my eyes. I don't know if this really did it for him, but I get what they're trying to do.
This is quite it, but it was something.
Yep.
Next, we get my favorite tag team. I mean, if you watch the worst of, then you'd know how sarcastic that is. Because now we have the Gun Club. Yay.
Yep.
Billy Gunn says to Christian, his boys are ranked in the top 5. It's a Christmas miracle. So they deserve a shot against Cage's boys. I did check. Unfortunately, they are ranked number 2, not number 5. So that's.
But again, we're in the infancy of 2022, right? So the records were all wiped clean on January 1st.
Exactly.
So it's not like the sample size is.
They're 2-0.
Yeah. So 2 matches, big deal.
Yep. And I don't think either of them are on Dynamite. I'm just knowing them. I'm pretty sure it's not on Dynamite. Cage says he can't doubt their talent. That is hilarious.
That's a lie.
But they fall short in the big spotlight, and the apple doesn't fall far, he says, and he tells them to make a statement and then talk, and they beat down Christian. Then all of them, or the other 2, come in to whatever their names are. I know their names, but I'm going to pretend to forget. and they beat him down.
Yeah. So unlike NXT, which I'll get to, at least when AEW wrestlers are trying to make their own matches, they can refer to records and standings, right? Which is helpful.
Right, they actually like come in with like part of a reason.
They have some sort of reason, right?
And then at least there's like still the established authority. So then like it's not like they actually made the match,
right.
like that they like mentioned in like it was actually decided whether to make the match or not. So like, I feel like in NXT now it just comes across like, oh, I want this match. I made this match.
Oh, it definitely does, and you'll see this week where it's. Anyways, we'll get to. There's an LA Knight thing that really kind of made me wonder what was going on, but. This might not be a popular opinion in this room, but I actually quite like this, and I thought it gave the Gun Club a bit of an aggressive edge that they've kind of been lacking, kind of a bit of an identity here, whether it's heel or whatever. I kind of liked it. I thought it was a simple, effective way to show that they're evolving a little bit. I mean, I don't need to see a Christian Billy Gunn match if that's what this is leading to.
That is my worst nightmare.
I do like the Gun
Sting versus Billy Gunn.
I do like the Gun Club showing a bit of personality, so I kind of like this, to be honest. You?
It was meh. I can't say I care at all about them. I don't want to see Gun Club getting a tag title shot ever. I don't think I could think of a less deserving team not named Bear Country or Lee Johnson and Brock Anderson. Gun Club are the worst. I think there's just like a bit of aggression for them. I think they kind of did that before, and I don't think this makes them any more interesting in the slightest. They're the most boring tag team on the face of this earth.
I thought that's what you might say, but we'll see where it goes.
I have no time for them.
You do not.
And also, Christian Cage is a very talented liar, I must say, because I can't think of a less talented second generation superstars.
He didn't say they were super talented. What was his line?
You can't doubt their talent.
Can't doubt it, but that could be he can't doubt that their minuscule amount of talent.
Oh, that's true.
Right? He's not saying I can't doubt that you have a ton of talent.
I mean, I think also not a bad second generation star is in fact Brock Anderson, but I feel like Brock Anderson is probably more interesting than the Gun Club, which is saying something.
Wow, I thought this was okay.
No, screw Gun Club. Next we get to speaking of people that we enjoy. It's Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
Yay.
It sure is. In all his glory.
Chonky ladder in the ring. A big, tall,
really big
fat, black ladder in the middle of the ring for no reason. I'm sure he just needed a chair and couldn't find one.
I can't imagine where this promo's going.
I wish he had actually sat on the top of the ladder. That'd be cool. And then he just fell off and broke his neck or something.
No, let's not be rude. We're not trying to hurt the man.
No, I just think that'd be kind of interesting. He talks about Punk's pipe bomb promo as he is the same. And how it was revolutionary. He says Punk talked about doing a lot of things like the Forbidden Door related stuff, and which are things that he did, Cody Rhodes did. And then I think there are Royal Rumble chants, right? Because he's rumored has been in the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
And I think the only way he can be in the Rumble is I think he has to go back to Stardust. And I would welcome that. Stardust is the best.
You'd be the only one.
I will support Stardust forever. He says Punk is the comeback of the decade and they're all living it and loving it. He says in the void Punk left, he did all the things he said, and he won't turn heel because they cheered him when he needed it, and they are a family, him, and what a family they are. He says before there was a Forbidden Door, he was the one who built it. Cody Rhodes was the one who built it.
Yep.
He talks about Forbidden Door-esque stuff from last week, and he makes a crack at Walter's new name. I will have to agree with that. He says the TNT title is not a secondary title. I'm disagreeing with that because the champions and the legacy that has been crafted, but it is secondary right now because there are currently two champions. No, there's not. One of them is literally called an interim champion. He challenges Sam to an undisputed champion ladder match next week and climbs the ladder and raises the title like a little turd.
Yeah, so I don't quite even know how I feel about this. Him coming out and comparing his own promos to the pipe bomb is funny to me, and that's clearly him being a heel, right? Even though saying he'll never be a heel, like this is why I don't know how I feel.
I liked the other like non-heel stuff, but this felt like not that.
Because you're saying you'll never turn heel literally while basically being a heel, right? So I kind of find it interesting on one level. It's yet another Cody promo where I'm not sure how to feel about it. If he really believes he is this generational talent, if this is his belief that he's expressing to us that he built the Forbidden Door and blah blah blah, then he's delusional and I can't stand him, right? But if it's part of a character he's doing, this whole heel not
And
heel
it's
thing,
perfect.
then I think it's kind of cool. And I'll never really know what his motivations are, so I guess I'm left to sort of decide. It feels like he went out there like thinking he's good enough to put everyone over, so that's why he name dropped like half the roster, it felt like to me. I thought it was a little bit rambling and self-indulgent at points. He took a lot of time to get to a really obvious point, right? Like we knew as soon as he took the ladder out, and with the whole
I'm pretty
ridiculous
sure it's just there
interim
when he
bit.
got there. Like, how did that get there?
So I think we knew where this was going. I think he thinks he's good enough to make this unification match feel like a big deal, even though the interim titles existed for 2 weeks and it's on the same guy that you just beat decisively for the title already. So it kind of came across as silly in a way to me. It's this huge, passionate promo where he's name dropping all of these people to build to a match against a guy you just beat who's barely been an interim champ for 5 minutes. So I finished, and we've had time to think about it. I don't know where I stand with this promo. I think he probably delivered it well. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do with the content of it. And I think the match itself will probably be pretty awesome, but I'm not believing that it's this humongous matchup when you just decisively beat this kid, right?
And
so, anyways,
there's a different. Literally, he's called an interim champion.
Yes.
Shouldn't the interim be done?
Yes, it would be, but not in this world. So, what did you think of this thing?
I thought it was all right because I like you. I'm very confused. I don't mind him doing the heel not heel thing, so I actually kind of like that. But I really don't like him actually talking about turning heel because that just feels like too far. Because like no one's actually talking about like, hey, I'm gonna be a babyface forever, or I'm turning heel on everyone, or something. Like no one actually uses the terminology like in a promo, which I don't like that. I didn't love the stuff about him like picking him after Punk because like that just doesn't connect for me. He kind of like is influential in the Forbidden Door, but there's a lot he's missing here. I'm like unless it's like a heel shtick, then it works, but it's just too hard to tell.
Right.
But it doesn't seem like it, but it also could be at the same time. The ladder match should be cool, but it doesn't make sense because Guevara is literally called an interim champion, which he has been for the sum of maybe 2 weeks.
Yep.
Like it's
big match though. Even though we just saw it, and one guy already beat the other guy decisively, and then he had to be given a title instead.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Next we get a Cargill Anna Jade thing. Basically, Cargill issued an open challenge, which Anna Jade accepted. Sterling says Cargill's undefeated, and they are thrilled to accept the quote-unquote challenge. Anna Jade says there is a dark side to her, and she'll do anything to win. Yeah,
I guess she's referring to the violent, bloody match she had with those other women. I thought Sterling's good. John Silver and Jade were fine, and the Anna Jay is not. She needs some work on her delivery. She's super young, so that's understandable. I kind of laughed when she said she has a dark side, just the way she delivered it, and her looking like this fresh-faced young woman here telling us how evil she can be. But anyways, it was fine, I guess.
Like
it was
very
short.
It's like Allie doing the angry face in Impact. That's what it was.
Yeah.
She would be like, arr.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is fine. Ironically, the first TBS title match is on TNT.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me because I didn't catch that, and that is kind of funny.
That's just dumb. It doesn't look like a great match, but we'll see. Probably not, because I don't care. Next we get the Kings of the Black Throne, House of Black, versus Varsity Blondes in a squash.
Yeah, more squashy than I was anticipating, actually.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
So the Kings of the Black Throne, their theme is pretty sick. Their entrance was sick.
They just look cool.
I still prefer Malachi Black's theme. I love Malachi Black's theme. I think I remember we both loved the NXT theme. I
did love it.
But I really love his AEW theme. On one hand, I wish they had used it. On the other hand, I like that as just his theme, you know? And I think this entrance was like, I like it was similar to his, but also like I think his is like a little better.
Yep.
But I think this looked awesome, just like with the spotlight behind them and just like their silhouettes. Like it looks awesome.
It looked really cool.
They have a really awesome presentation. Brody King looks right.
They are an intimidating looking group.
They look super cool
partnership.
Together.
Yeah.
So Garrison took a nasty head bump off the stairs, which seemed accidental, and
I was worried for his safety.
It turns out Pillman is the one who got concussed from this match.
Pretty big irony there, because Garrison, he
looked like he just
died. Like, it didn't look like he get himself his hands up.
Sick.
He looked like he just
nasty.
fell head first into the steel steps, and I was sure he was done, but apparently not. So
yeah, like it looked like he like just conked it. Like, oh my god, it was.
Good job, Griff Garrison.
It was like awesome because it looked so real. We just both just reacted to that, but it was so cool. There was a nice combo by what I shall call them KOTBT, Kings of the Black Throne. I'm honestly just considering just referring them to the House of Black because Kings of the Black Throne is too long.
I told you, I think House of Black will be the whole group, and Kings of the Black Throne will be the tag team. At least that's how I would do it.
Black is above a tag team, which kind of.
Well, I mean, he can also go back and forth singles and tag. Like, they can do all kinds of cool stuff,
that's
right?
True. King takes out Garrison, and they hit the Dante's Inferno for the win, which is just like a suplex lift into a power slam.
Yeah, they could have found a better finisher for sure.
I kind of think the name is interesting, but I do not enjoy that.
Like I told you, I'm a big fan of Brody King's simple, like, forearms are awesome. So I would love a discus forearm into the black mass.
I'm just thinking, like, if they're like that set on like a power move for King, you do like a black mass while he's got him in a power slam, and then like you could do like a Rikishi driver or a power slam.
Black mass to catch him into a Gonzo bomb.
Wait, so Gonzo bomb's like you have him in a Dominator into a pile driver, right? So you like Brody King like holds him on his shoulder, and then like you black mass him while he's there, and then into a Gonzo bomb. Like you could just they have like two like black mass you can merge into so many things. Like they could like do that. So I think their tag finisher's not great. So we get a post-match promo. Black asks for the members of the House of Black to rise. So is that bringing more people?
Julia Hart?
I just think that's his... No. I think that's just his like catchphrase at the moment.
Right.
And Pac is on the Tron, cuts a promo. He says he sees them now, and Black's like everyone else, and it's disgusting. He says a black man tricks up his sleeve, but he is beyond his reach. And he takes out the blindfold and says he's going to make a martyr of Black. Yeah,
match-wise, it was more of a squash than I thought. The Blondes really did not get anything here. Garrison did look like he died for a minute running into the post. I thought Malachi Black started out super aggressive and fast in his brief time at the beginning of this. I still don't think Brody King has been fully showcased yet. People haven't got a sense of what he's all about yet, but I think it was all it needed to be as a first Brody King in the ring sort of thing for AEW. I liked the segment by Pac that followed a lot more. I thought it was awesome. The tone, his delivery, the image, everything looked really cool. And honestly, Pac in any combination with the House of Black is fine by me. So I'm looking forward to any sort of combination.
Penta's
there.
Still around, my guy.
So I liked the segment more than the match.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid squash. Made House of Black look pretty good for a first outing. Garrison took that gnarly face bump on the stairs, which proves the ringside area cannot be trusted. 2 examples in a month. Kings of the Black Throne need a new tag finisher. Dante's Inferno is bleh. It's not. It reminds me of the Viking experience for the Viking Raiders. Right. That's like pretty much the same. It's a pop-up power slam-esque move. And I don't like that. It's just a power slam. It boils down to a power slam.
It does.
Might as well just have Brody King power slam the guy. Next we get a Hangman Archer promo thing. Paige said if you want to shot the world title, come for it. And then Jake Snake, who is back, said when it comes time, Paige will bite the dust. And Lambert's also there for some reason.
Yeah, the package was solid. I don't really get Lambert's involvement. I'm not sure what he's doing there, and especially if he's not speaking, right? Because Jake did the talking here, but I'm fine with him being silent. I won't complain about Lambert not talking for too long because he talks a lot sometimes. And I think that, like, at this point, Archer's just a really useful guy to have around, right? You can heat him up really quickly like this if you need to as, like, a placeholder challenger for any champion. He doesn't need to win all of the time. You can just have him come back from a break, present him quickly as a monster, and it's believable, right? So I think he's like a valuable guy to sort of have around for this role. Unfortunate for him because I think it sort of puts a ceiling on what he's going to do in AEW, but not everybody gets title shots, right? So at least he's getting that. But yeah, this was fine.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid promo. I think Jake spoke fine again, so it's cool to see him back. I think we also saw Lambert there, which just does not make sense at all. And Hangman's promo was fine too, I thought. Next we get a quick promo from Roppongi Vice. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because Cutler's like they're looking for the Bucks, and so they just kind of take over. Rocky says they're tired of losing the Elite, and he reminds Trent of them beating the Bucks multiple times in New Japan. He was thinking they can beat them again, challenge the Bucks to a match on Rampage. Spoiler, Rocky does not make it. It turns into Trent versus Nick.
Right, because he got COVID, so now I worry about Trent because they're standing right beside each other, no masks, talking together. But anyways, I like this because Romero wasn't nice to Cutler, right? Like, he was treating him as you would think they would, but then Trent was being, like, really friendly, and he was even telling Romero, like, be nice because the Elite always bully this guy, right? Like, they always bully him, so Trent was being really nice to him, which I think is pretty on brand for the best friends, right?
I guess Rocky's not super, like, best friend-esque.
No, and it's okay to have one of them who's like, this group causes us nothing but problems. I hate all of them. And then Trent's kind of there like, yeah, but he's their whipping boy, right? He's not really, he's part of them, but they just bully him all the time. So he treated him a little bit nicely. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So I ended up liking this segment, but as you said, the match will not happen in the way they're advertising it here.
Yeah, which kind of sucks because I think I was really excited for Roppongi versus Bucks. I think that would be really awesome.
And they've had some history with some really awesome matches too in Japan.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid promo. Funny they also kind of bossed around Cutler. I did think it was kind of interesting. Like, I feel like it kind of made sense because Trent is like one of the best friends,
right?
And then I feel like Rocky is like he is affiliated because chaos,
right,
quote unquote. But I like that was fine. And then I feel like it would have been a great match if Rocky wasn't taken out. So
but
that kind of sucks. Yeah, maybe hopefully we can get that on a future show because I would still really like that.
Yeah, Romero's impressed me.
If this saga continues by the time we're allowed to. And next we get Lance Archer versus Frankie Kazarian, who's still here. I did not know that. He's dropped the Elite Hunter stick. That went well.
Did not.
In a very slow enhancement match. Perhaps the slowest enhancement match I've seen in my life.
It was a bit of a slog, this one, eh?
A little bit. Just a bit.
Interesting.
Archer beats on Kaz in different corners with strikes. Later on a pounce by Archer. Hammer thrown in a corner by Archer. Kaz slips out of a chokeslam, starts to fight back. A missile dropkick by Kaz. Chokeslam by Archer, then blackout by Archer for the win. After the match, Tony Schiavone comes in for one of the interview things. Lambert says they don't need to understand him and Archer. He says Hangman wasn't born for this and says a bunch of stuff, how he isn't a cowboy, just carrying on with that.
Yes.
Archer says enough of this. He's going to show what he's going to do. He goes to chokeslam Kaz on the stage on a chair, but Hangman comes out. A brawl starts. Archer goes for a chair, but Hangman hits him with a boot. Archer blocks a buckshot, but Hangman fights back and takes him out of the ring.
And when you say hits him with a boot, you mean he took his boot off and hit him with it.
I think it was, right? I didn't see actually.
It wasn't
so
actually a big boot.
That's why I wrote that, because I knew it was either a boot or
no, he took his boot off and hit him with it. This was really one-sided and too long if you're going to go that route, right? Like, Archer was just kind of slowly walking around delivering pretty standard big man stuff for the vast majority of this, and the audience did not appear to be engaged in it either. So I don't think this did Archer any favors in the build to this. He really needs to kick it up a notch when he faces Page, and I'm sure that he will. As for the aftermath, I don't know. Like, Page is obviously going to win the match, so did he really need to win this confrontation? Like, I know he took a slam onto a chair last week, right? Which looked cool, but
was sick.
It's kind of like, obviously Page is winning the match. Does he have to come out ahead in this little instance as well? So I wasn't a huge fan of this. The match was boring, and the aftermath was kind of standard, I guess. I don't know. Nothing exceptional came out of it. Yeah, this was
not great. It made Archer look fine, I guess, but it just took way too long. It felt really like a slog, like you said. It felt too slow. It wasn't like there wasn't a lot to be interested by here. And I think we'd be better off with like a faster squash. I still don't get Lambert and Archer. They didn't really explain more here. The brawl between Hangman and Archer was fine. Like you said, Hangman doesn't really need to go over here. Could be a solid match and all. But despite Archer being kind of legit and whatnot, I don't buy him as winning at all. I don't think I see him as a champion. I think they have a lot of better potential candidates. Like, I even think MJF is going to be Hangman. I don't think it's Archer. I mean, unless someone else great comes in, I think it's MJF.
This is just give Page a win in his title reign, right? Clearly a quote-unquote quality win as a champion, I guess.
I like Archer and all, but I honestly, like, lately, I don't like him that much. I just don't
think they have the time to build him the way he needs to be built, right? It's just like they quickly don't forget this guy's a monster, and then away we go.
He should probably go back to New Japan or something. I think he's probably better off.
Probably.
Next we get a thing with Dante Martin, Matt Sydal, and Lee Moriarty, and then also Team Taz. Dante says he saved them from Team Taz on Dark, I assume. Because Darius gone, Seidel's been like his brother, and he has their backs. Lee says they'll have his back too until Darius is back. So Lio Rush is dead.
I guess, right? I don't know. He's just gone, apparently. I don't know where he is.
His contract expires soon, which that kind
of
sucks.
Or he retired for the 8th time or whatever. I don't know.
Him and Dante would have been a sick team.
Yes, I enjoyed them a lot.
So then we cut to Team Taz. Starks asks how many brothers Dante has, and Hobbs says Dante better watch everything because they build assassins.
Yeah, I thought Hobbs' line was not great. But anyways,
I mean, technically they're building Hook.
Yeah, I thought Dante was better speaking a little bit than he has in the past. Not that he was amazing here, but he didn't sound awkward and uncomfortable. Like, this is a super mid-card group, right? But you have to have those in every company.
No, for sure.
The Starks, I thought he's obviously the most polished speaker of all of these people. He had a good line about Dante suffering from little brother syndrome, I thought, but I thought Hobbs' finishing line was just kind of weak. I didn't think it added anything. It was just kind of clearly like a pre-written line that did not sound like something a person would say. Felt kind of WWE-ish. I didn't love that, but whatever. It's like a lower mid-card little feud, so go ahead, guys. Have fun.
Right. Yeah, and so I thought the segment was fine. I don't care a lot, but I feel like this could all be bred for Hook, because notice how Team Taz is short a man right now, and they're slowly building Hook on the secondary show. Right, meanwhile, so then maybe like soon, then this is just bred for a Hook showcase.
Send
on
Hook,
the main
baby.
Show. Right.
Send Hook.
Like I'm thinking like a couple weeks at least, maybe.
Let's go Hook.
Like after Beach Break, we get trios match. Hook kills them all, but at the same time, I feel like they're also building Dante. So
yes,
I'm not sure which way, but I feel like it could be bred for a Hook.
Hook Dante tag team. That would actually be really interesting.
That would be very interesting. Yeah.
You've got like the silent grappler, like just killer, and then Dante high flying, and he could speak for them, which would be not the best move, but it'd get him lots of reps, I guess, talking.
I mean, if Dante was in Team Taz,
and then that Lio Rush could speak for them, would be perfect. But
yeah,
anyways,
but whatever.
He's gone.
Next we get a Velvet and Chris Statlander interview. Layla Hirsch comes in and congratulates her on the mixed tag match. Says she didn't have the same focus on Rampage, and says she has become selfish. Velvet tries to calm her down, says it was miscommunication and it happens, but Hirsch hits her. And when Statlander checks on Red, Hirsch attacks her and puts her in an armbar. Yeah,
this is the side of Layla Hirsch I've been waiting for. Her delivery of her lines was fine. I don't think it was great, but I just want her to be a killer. Like, for me, she could be in the mold of one of your faves, Shayna Baszler, right? Because she's a legit shooter. She can fight. I think the heel turn's going to increase Layla Hirsch's profile, which I'm fine with because I want to see. I find her really interesting and unique. And AEW, just as like a side note, they seem to have or like to have performers with multiple sort of interactions with people, right? Because Statlander sort of seems like she's on track to face Baker, but she's also got issues with Layla Hirsch. So I kind of like that you have them because it's more realistic, right? Like in a workplace with hundreds of employees or whatever, you interact with all kinds of different people when you're at work. And then I think it's also smart because it gives AEW the chance to like quickly change directions if people get hurt or there's COVID protocols or whatever, because you have had your character sort of interacting with multiple people, right? So they have multiple options to go. So I kind of like that AEW does that a little bit more than other companies seem to. It's kind of a cool thing I've just kind of noticed. Like they have dealings with multiple people at the same time, right? And I think that's cool.
I thought it was okay. I don't care a lot about this because it's been primarily off Dynamite. Because it's like mostly on Rampage, and it's like then we get like this segment to set up, like we get a segment on Dynamite, but it's to set up something on Rampage.
Which we don't always see.
I do like them starting on heel Hirsch, though. I think she now could go with Team Taz if that is
makes sense
where
to me.
They want to go.
Although Team Taz never win anything, so that might not be great for her. But
that is true.
Yeah.
Next we get Serena Deeb versus Sky Blue in a squash. Deeb out-wrestles Blue and then smacks her on the back of the head just as a taunt.
Yep.
There's a guillotine in the ropes by Deeb for like the 5 count, decapitate under the bottom rope. She hits a detox and then she does the knee bash Serenity Lock for the win.
A nasty looking Serenity Lock, I thought, really deep. This was all it needed to be, right? Deeb needed to look aggressive and vicious, and she did. She got a dominant, quick win, and I thought that Serenity Lock, and it might be they chose Sky Blue because they know she's flexible, because Deeb really leaned into that, right? It looked awesome. So I thought this was exactly what it needed to be, so I was totally fine with this. Is a a good use of a squash for me.
Exactly. I thought it was a much better squash than the Archer match did. What they did what they needed to do. It was quick and simple. D got some cool offense, picked up a solid win. Hopefully we start seeing something for the final match, because I think there has to be that soon. So maybe next week
it's like a submission match or something, possibly. There's probably some sort of stipulation.
They missed their chance for the first submission match. They'd wasted that on Conti, Penelope Ford or something.
Right.
Like
they did.
Yeah, it was just weird. Next we get Men in the Year promo. Lambert says everyone scatter when Mox put open challenge, but Paige didn't. Paige says he isn't afraid and he is up to the task, and he has been racking up wins while Mox has been gone. He says if TK is looking for the match, he says look to his franchise player and make the match. Shane Douglas?
Maybe. I thought this was a good promo by Paige. Obviously, they're just sacrificing him to Mox to be his first win as his way back, but it should be a solid match. And Paige's logic, right, leading up to why he's willing to take the match made sense. I don't need Dan Lambert more than once in my show, but at least he didn't really say anything, right? He's been kind of on twice and said nothing, so that is about a nice ratio for me. But yeah, Paige is a strong talker, and they're just trying to set up an introductory match for Mox to get a win in his return, I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid promo from Paige per usual. And I think it could actually be an interesting match, kind of an interesting style contrast, but Paige does unfortunately have to take an L.
Sure does.
And then we did also get like a pretty basic highlight reel package for Hook. I don't know if you remember that.
I do. Just wasn't it like he has a match against Serpentico or something? I think it was just
the most experienced competitor he's faced so far.
So it was just Hook killing people, and then he's got a match coming up, I guess. Yeah, it was cool.
Just kind of like highlights of his 3 other matches. Next we get HFO and Andrade. Yippee.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
Hardy has sold 51% of the HFO to Andrade, and he retains 49%. That is how it works.
Oh, so sorry, he gave 51% to Andrade? Oh, okay. I thought it was the other way around. Like he kept control, but maybe not. It would actually make more sense for future stuff if he didn't keep control.
He says a bunch of stuff, and basically and then he also says Andrade is the new president. They will be known as AHFO. That is not fun to say. He says Darby is talented and you better smarten up and join them.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I don't like Andrade being involved with this kind of bottom of the card group here.
Bottom of the card, absolutely.
I hope that it's short-lived, and that my goal would be Andrade takes Private Party with him as part of his 51% or whatever, and he can sort of rebuild Private Party, who showed potential early on in their AEW run, but have since joining Hardy done next to nothing, right? Andrade doesn't need Hardy. Private Party need to be refreshed, so I hope that's what happened, because Andrade is a star, and the rest of these guys aren't at this point, right? So I'm not sure why this is happening, but I guess we'll see. I'm assuming they're going out of their way to talk about them sharing ownership because it's going to lead to issues. I just hope it happens quickly and Andrade gets out of there. Hopefully take in Private Party with him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Private Party should go back to baby faces for sure. I think that was when they were actually good. Right. I used to think they were pretty good, just a little green. Now they're kind of boring and lame. This still makes zero sense to me. Why would Andrade want to buy just above, like barely above half of a C-list faction? And what does being president of it even mean? Like,
yeah.
What? And AHFO seems kind of lame. Also, saying AH.
No, I won't be saying
awful.
that. Nope.
That just is bad to say in my mouth. And if you're Darby, who wants to join this faction? If your name's not Joe or Joel, who wants to be in here?
And I feel like it's a really weak, lazy way to mention Darby Allin. Like, I don't understand. And
also,
how this
where
fits
did
in.
TH2 go? They were the only real stars in this faction.
Like, it was funny when Andrade was sort of implying that Sting must be paying Allin to be like his assistant, because why would Darby Allin hang out with him otherwise? Like, that was funny, but now they're going into like he is actually trying to hire the services of Darby Allin because he thinks that's realistic. Like, it kind of makes Andrade look stupid a little bit. Not a fan.
Him buying half of this faction, or half of the shares in it,
because that's how factions work. Like, they're an official factions are official like corporations that you can sell half of.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But like, why would you want to do that?
I don't know.
Does he just have money in the burn? Because that's the only possible explanation.
And Andrade, like, you're buying half of a company that never does anything, right? It's not like you're buying half of the Elite.
Right, yeah.
You're buying half of Hardy HFO. So
yeah,
good for you, I guess.
Yeah,
You bought half of nothing.
Maybe.
You're proud owner of half of nothing.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes. It feels kind of rushed and not very well thought out. But again, I like to give AEW the benefit of the doubt generally.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, moving to the main event, which has Sting in it. That's so good.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Acclaimed versus Sting and Darby Allin. It was a Sting match. That is the basic description I can apply here.
Mostly it was. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's a pre-match brawl. The Acclaimed put a chair around Darby's head and sent him in the ring post. So
I like that spot.
Cool.
Yeah.
You thought he was going to go off the apron, didn't you?
I thought it was going to end worse than it did. I was ready for him to do something just because it's Darby Allin and he doesn't care, right? So.
And because the ringside area cannot be trusted.
Right, so it still looked good. I was just fearing something very dangerous.
Yeah, and then somehow Sting is in control over both members of the Acclaim for a decent stretch. Then Sting has the Scorpion Death. I wrote Death Drop, but I meant Death Lock on Caster, and Bowens hits a rolling elbow, which is no sold. Stupid.
It was.
And then he kicks Sting, which now that's sold for some reason. Darby comes in, dives onto Bowens, a coffin drop onto the Acclaim to the outside. Bowens hits that nice strike combo, and then that side slam, followed by Caster's mic drop for 2, but Sting breaks it up with the most WWE pin breakup I've seen in a long time.
Was it just like a tap on the back?
Or like he just goes like...
Yeah.
Like just one of these on the top of his back.
Mm-hmm.
And then later a coffin drop by Darby for the win, and they remain undefeated, and the Acclaimed take a loss for some reason.
So there's things I liked. I liked the attack before the bell by the Acclaimed because they're like playing that old school heel, which I like. I know I'm going to hear it from you as well. I don't disagree that Sting dominating both of the Acclaimed while Darby Allin was taken out on the floor was a bit ridiculous to me. I mean, it was kind of to be expected at this point with Sting, but I don't love it. The crowd clearly responded to it, so that's, I guess, more important than what we think in this tiny little studio down here. Overall, I thought the match was fine, but the Acclaimed for a good stretch, right? They basically just took turns being dominated by Sting, and then Darby Allin for a little bit. Acclaimed got a bit of offense rolling, but not enough for me. And then there was the table spot and a quick finish, right? This was not a high-quality main event, I don't think. I get that they are trying to build Allin and Sting as a legit tag team, and I think maybe due to Phoenix's injury, they've had to shift some plans around and maybe build these guys quicker or differently than they originally planned. I don't really know, but I would have preferred the Acclaimed look stronger.
Yeah, I feel like they've been on a roll.
Like, I didn't think the Acclaimed were going to win, but they got, one legitimate flurry of offense in this, and then they got dominated by Sting on his own for a good chunk, so I don't think it really helped the Acclaimed. I guess that wasn't the goal. So, a decent main event, but not Dynamite level top tier main event by any stretch of the imagination. What did you think?
It was okay, I guess, but I really find it hard. They're asking a lot from me to believe that Sting can be going over both
60 whatever year old Sting dominates 2 prime athletes, like in the peak of their careers, right? And just handles them.
Also no sells stuff. I can't stand him no selling stuff. It's the dumbest thing. And I think he's also when he's also in the action has to be kind of slowed and dulled down a lot because he's old. Darby should not have been the one to be taken out for decent chunks. Is all I'm saying. We should have either gone a straight tag match or Sting should have been taken out. And
I've been a little more open to Sting than you, and I think they have used him really well in a couple of spots and places, but I don't think this was one of them for me.
The Acclaim look fine, I guess, but they've been on a roll lately, so it sucks they had to A, take a loss, and B, take it this decisive of a loss.
Yeah, it was very decisive.
Especially in most of the match, they had a clear advantage over an older and also a lone guy.
And until they hit him with the boombox, right, they couldn't get anything done, basically. So, I wasn't a huge fan of it.
It wasn't great. As far as main events go, nah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the show as a whole?
I thought it was better show than last week, which was one of my least favorite Dynamites, but I still don't think this was up to their normal standard. So I would say it was below average, but still good. So we got a strong start, I thought, with the Mox promo, the MJF promo, and a pretty good mixed tag match. I had no issues up to that point. Then we got the Cody's promo that I don't know how I feel. Black and King squash, Adib squash, a weak Archer enhancement match, I thought, and just a decent main event. So not really, again, a top-notch Dynamite, in my opinion. I gave it a B show. So, like, I mostly enjoyed it, but nothing was amazing. But a lot better than last week, sort of getting back on track. I hope next week we get back to the A range where they have been for much of their run. But this was just a B show for me.
Overall, I think it was at least a definite improvement over our lackluster one from last week. The first match of the show, the mixed tag, which was the mixed tag, was as good as you could probably ask for in that kind of stipulation. Spears vs. Punk was a non-match, essentially. When I thought it had potential, House of Black vs. Varsity Blondes was a solid enhancement match. Archer vs. Kaz way too long and too slow. D vs. Sky Blue was another squash done much better. And the main event was just okay, but underwhelming, not up to what I would expect from a Dynamite main event.
Agree.
As far as segments go, there was a good return promo from Mox. A nice and short segment with MJF and Wardlow. The Inner Circle interview I enjoyed as well. Cole's little promo was nice too. Sets up an interesting match. The Gun Club was lame with Christian. Does not matter to me whatsoever. The Cody promo kind of fell a little bit back to the Cody Rhodes we don't enjoy. Sets up a predictable match, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Then there were a couple of fine segments for Cargill, Anna Jay, and then Hangman Archer. Roppongi Vice cut a solid promo as well. The thing with Team Taz and the other guys was whatever, and I like the Statlander Her segment, and the Men in the Year promo was solid too. Overall, a solid show. I would say like a comfortable B. Nothing super amazing.
I would agree. All right, so let's move into a little bit of trivia as we take a break from breaking down wrestling specifically. So it's our segment called Off the Top of His Head. All right, so as we approach Royal Rumble season, I may have done this before. I don't know. We've now approaching 80 weeks of me trying to find trivia and topics and questions. So if it's a repeat, I apologize, but you probably forget as a listener, and it's still impressive to hear this kid's knowledge of things. So let's talk about
we're doing Royal Rumble?
Some Royal Rumble stuff.
Oh, that's my specialty.
It is. So I'm going to pick...
I'm good at these kinds of
We're going to start out with, I'm going to pick a random year.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me who won. Can we start out with that? So
Yep.
Let's go with the first one, 1988.
Jim Duggan.
Are you sure?
Yes.
And let's go with 1995.
Shawn Michaels.
Wow, yes. Let's go 2000. That's a weird one.
The Rock.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm looking at the wrong... sorry, hold on. 2000 is The Rock, correct. I was looking at most eliminations. Wrong list. 2004, but don't say his name too loud.
Benoit.
Shh. Wow, you like literally off the top of your head.
Yes.
All right, well, I'm gonna go back and forth then to try and mess you up. 93.
Yokozuna.
Damn. 2008.
John Cena.
Wow. 2012.
Sheamus.
1989.
Big John Studd.
Oh, you hesitated for a second. That's a win for me.
No.
2017.
Randy Orton.
2019 women.
Becky Lynch.
Trying to find what would be the most obscure one. 2006.
Rey Mysterio.
2005.
Batista.
Nice. And let's go with... I'm thinking the older ones I have a better chance. So let's go with 1994.
Ooh. Oh, I know. Luger and Bret Hart.
Correct. All right, so you knocked those out of the park. Who holds the Royal Rumble record for most victories and how many?
Steve Austin with 3. That's that's one of the things they have in the pie of the numbers.
Can you tell me the years?
97, 98, and 2001.
That is all correct. 7 people have won 2 Royal Rumbles as long as this document I'm using is up to date. So can you tell me who they are?
I'll just list them up. We're counting Austin, right? Or no, because he's won 3.
Have
he
won
has won
2, only 2.
Only 2, okay. Right. Hogan, Edge, Orton, Batista, Cena. Hold on, let me think. I'm missing another
2 more,
one.
I think.
Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
And Triple H.
Right. Oh, did you say Hogan? He was in there too.
I did.
Oh, you did. Okay.
And
nice.
Edge is the most recent one.
Nicely done. The luckiest number is
30?
No.
No? 24.
I knew this
27.
one. 27 is correct. Only time the same number won in consecutive years. There's a hard one.
I don't know.
Same entrant.
90.
So I'll tell you
96?
the entrant. It was entrant number 30. Won 2 years in a row. Can you name the years?
Oh, 2007, 2008.
Right, and that was who and who?
Taker and Cena.
That is correct. Very good. What else do I have for you? I'm just trying to make some questions out of this because you just destroyed them. So let's talk about
Joe Mama.
top 10 cumulative. I have the list of the 10 male competitors with the most eliminations. So let's see what ones you can get from that list. Brock Lesnar is 9th on the list with 24, as of whenever this was published, 24 eliminations. Kane has 45 plus 1 as Isaac Yankem. He is number 1.
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns is, yes, he is tied with 32 eliminations. He's on the list.
Let me think. Braun Strowman.
Braun Strowman is just ahead of Roman Reigns with 33 on the list.
Okay.
So when I say 10, it's actually going to be 12 or 13 because there's a couple ties in spots. Like 2 people are tied with Reigns, 32 there. But anyways, you just keep rhyming off
Triple
names.
H.
Triple H is one of them, so he has 32, tied with
Cena.
Roman. Cena has 25, so he comes in at number 8 on this list.
I don't know, maybe Goldust. He's in a lot of Rumbles.
Goldust is not on the list.
Okay.
It's all pretty big names, you would think.
Big Show.
Big Show is the other one tied with 32 with Roman and Triple H. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people left on this list.
Taker.
Undertaker is second behind his brother with 40.
Randall Keith.
Randall Keith is, yes, he's tied with another star with 27, and that is for 7th place tied.
Stone Cold, because he's in like
Stone Cold Steve Austin is 4th overall with 36 eliminations. So you have 1, 2, 3 left.
Hogan.
Hulk Hogan is tied with Randy Orton with 27 eliminations. That's correct. So you have 2 left. One, to give you a hint, the bracket says 39 recognized eliminations. So I don't know if that implies.
Bret Hart.
Nope.
Shawn Michaels.
Yes, Shawn Michaels is 3rd with 39 recognized eliminations. And then all you're missing is the 10th spot, which
Batista?
is... No, it is a Canadian boy who you do not really like anymore.
Chris Jericho.
No.
Chris Benoit.
Still in WWE, and you're tired of him. Or back with WWE, I guess.
Edge.
That is correct. He has 23.
Little stinker.
All right, so to finish up, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess it is the top 10, although some are tied. Cumulative women's eliminations. I find this harder.
Baszler.
Shayna Baszler's number 1 because she dominated that Rumble, right? So she has 14.
She entered number 30 and still lost to Charlotte Flair. I'm never going to let that go.
So she's number 1 with 14.
Yeah, baby. Charlotte Flair.
Charlotte Flair is tied for 4th with 10. This one's harder, eh? Despite it all being really recent. She is 2nd with 12.
I figured because she was at number 3 last year, remember? So she would have to kind of do a lot. I don't know. Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley is tied with Charlotte with 10.
Nice.
Very good.
Nice.
Large people no longer with the company.
Jax.
Correct. She has 11. She's
Tamina?
Nope, she's not on there. We have
let me think.
A Canadian, a person in AEW.
Trish Stratus?
Nope. Canadian still with the company.
I don't know.
That you think is overrated.
What, Liv Morgan?
No, she's not Canadian.
Who's Canadian?
Don't lump her in with us.
Who the hell's Canadian?
2nd generation WWE star. Canadian woman. Oh, I guess she's technically not Canadian, even though she's affiliated. I probably misled you.
I'm so confused.
And is Natalia? She's not Canadian, right?
Yeah, she is.
She is?
She's a Hart.
Right? Yeah, but Neidhart.
Anyways. Don't know.
Somebody who's in AEW.
Ruby Riott?
Correct.
Really?
She's got 6.
That's so weird. Becky Lynch? Did I say that already?
She's not on there, no.
Really? Sasha Banks?
Nope.
Bailey?
Yes. Tied for last place. And then you've got
Alexa Bliss.
Correct. And the last one, which is the hardest one to get, is not someone of this era, but somebody they bring back for
Michelle
these.
McCool.
That is correct. She has 5.
So I remember she did a lot in the first time she was in the Rumble because
yes.
Undertaker.
So apparently you know a lot about the Royal Rumble. We've probably established this before, but
yeah, stuff like that where there's like a lot of records. I excel.
You do excel.
Money in the Bank, etc.
Excellent work. You killed it. So let's switch back to talking about some more wrestling, a shorter show, as we're going to take our what's become a weekly look at NXT UK. So this show starts out with no video package this week, just straight into some quick hype by the commentary team for the main event, which is A-Kid taking on Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup. Do they call it Heritage Cup Championship? Is it just the Heritage Cup? I don't know what to say.
Sometimes they usually go Heritage Cup, and then sometimes they say they're the Heritage Cup champion. So
I think
it's just they go the Heritage Cup, and then whoever's holding is the Heritage Cup champion.
Right, because I think Heritage Cup Championship feels redundant to me. Like I don't think I need to say both of those things. But anyways.
Dumb anyways.
So we then go straight into our first match of the week, which is Pretty Deadly heading to the ring to take on Sam Gradwell and a partner of his choosing. And remember, Pretty Deadly were very open to this challenge because they were sure that Gradwell would not be able to find a partner because no one likes him. So then we see a little vignette, right, of Gladwell trying to find partners at the gym, which I think was Nathan Frazier, at the drive-through of a restaurant, on the phone, calling people and basically putting out...
He kept, like, tweeting guys like, I don't know, I think... I don't know. I feel like I want to say one of them was Triple H.
It was, and then there was like non-wrestling people too. I think he was tweeting. So kind of
He's
like
just like tweeting like people way out of his league.
Right. And everybody obviously turns him down. So Pretty Deadly are in the ring thinking that it's going to be a handicap match. Basically, I actually found this little vignette amusing. To be honest,
I thought it was pretty amusing.
Then I got confused because Kenny Williams is like backstage behaving very erratically, right? And I wasn't really sure what was happening there, but I guess he's
a scum.
And he has issues with Gradwell.
Who wouldn't? Look at his hair.
But do we know that? I can't remember. I feel like we probably are supposed to know that. No, I don't know.
I don't remember that.
So a little bit confused. But anyways, it turns out that Gradwell did find a partner, and it is Saxon Huxley, who I don't know how much you've seen, but I kind of find this guy interesting just because he's kind of out there, a bit bizarre. But then I got confused because is this heel versus heel? Like Gradwell, I think feels like... A little bit. I feel like they're presenting Gradwell as not a heel, but anyways, we'll get there. So Gradwell dominates Howley early until Pretty Deadly sort of make a blind tag. Then Huxley tags in later, and Stoker tries to avoid facing him. We get knees and a backbreaker by Huxley, followed by a running elbow and a crossbody in the ropes. He goes for that same crossbody into the ropes on Howley, but he moves out of the way, and that turns the tide, and Pretty Deadly then start to isolate Huxley for a while. We get a double front suplex onto the top rope by Pretty Deadly for 2 as they continue their domination of Huxley. We get an eventual hot tag to Gradwell, who dominates Stoker until a distraction by Howley allows Stoker to hit a forearm to Gradwell as Gradwell's coming off the top rope. Kenny Williams shows up. He attacks Saxon out on the floor, takes him out, leaving Gradwell alone. Just, of course, conveniently when Gradwell's looking to make a tag and there's nobody there. So that allows Pretty Deadly to hit what is called the spilt milk, right? Which is a neck breaker, spine buster combination. It's not great. So they hit it to Gradwell for the win. What did you think of the match? I guess I'll go first since I'm the one taking notes. I thought it was fine. Nothing special. It was a good enough match, right? If Pretty Deadly... Yeah. They get a win, and I guess... that's what they need because they recently lost the tag titles, right? So they being rebuilt a little bit here. And then I guess it's to further the angle between Williams and Gradwell, which I'm unsure about where it came from. I think I'm missing something. And again, my question is Gradwell a babyface now?
I guess, because
the video package
Kenny Williams definitely isn't.
Right, and neither are Pretty Deadly.
He is, by definition, but he's also not.
Right, so Pretty Deadly are heels, Kenny Williams is heels, and that pre-match video was almost comedic in nature, right? So the one with Gradwell looking for a partner. So I feel like maybe he is a babyface now, but anyways, I wasn't sure. What did you think of the opener?
Yeah, kind of. I thought it was okay. I mean, I thought it wasn't like... I feel like Pretty Deadly are better when they have someone to work with like Mustache Mountain.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the finish was okay. I mean, I guess that's something with Kenny Williams. I think he's kind of interesting. I think Kenny Williams is cool, but I don't understand the whole dynamic with Gradwell here. It's kind of confusing, and Huxley was all right.
Yep. We then get Ginny. She's cutting a promo on Amal, basically saying that they do have similarities in their background, but the difference is Ginny doesn't exploit her past struggles to earn fans, which I thought was a pretty cool. I mean, it's not even that heely, to be honest, but I thought it was a cool route to take. She says she gets booed because the fans wish they could be her, but they can't, and neither can Amal. Ginny will take all the hope that in Amal's heart and destroy it. What'd you think of Ginny?
I thought this was actually pretty good.
Me
promo.
too.
I like that. Like a mall cuts one later. I think this one was much better. I think it was like.
Yes.
I think from her point of view, I think it's like it's not like the worst point for a heel to make. I think it was like I think it was really good, and I don't know. I liked it. It was like
It's kind of like we all have had struggles, but we're not all
right
complaining and telling everybody about it to gain approval or whatever, right? So I think she does an excellent job as a heel. Really good delivery. She's really believable. I just wish I was as impressed with her in the ring, but I'm going to be fair. I haven't seen a ton of her, so I haven't made my final decision. I'm still open-minded. But yeah, I thought this was a really cool heel segment here. We then get a quick recap of the Dave Mastiff and Jack Stars beating D Familia, somewhat surprisingly for me.
Yeah, I'm still not thrilled about that.
After Joe Coffey got involved, right? So we're getting a furthering of the Gallus D Familia feud. So each team gets to talk about the other a little bit here. Gallus point out how the match didn't go well for D Familia, and D Familia basically say that they are the new dominant group in NXT UK. Obviously, I'm shortening it a fair amount here, but trying to take quicker notes for NXT UK. So I like the package. I think everybody involved did a good job.
Yeah, I think as far as side feuds go, I think that this is not like a total waste of time
No.
for D Familia.
Right.
If they're not going for the tag titles yet, which I mean kind of makes sense because I don't think Mustache Mountain are losing them soon.
And Gallus have been a pretty big deal for a while, right?
Yeah.
So this is a decent little feud for D Familia. I hope that they continue to build this a little bit before we get the payoff, but then it immediately, as I'm writing that, basically we find out that the match is next week. So it should be pretty good still, and I thought the segment was solid.
Yep, agreed.
Then we go right to a produced segment with Blair Davenport. So she's got a set of like really old large keys, and she unlocks some gate, and the whole thing shot in black and white, right? She's basically says that she's a product of her environment, and she's from a long line of Davenports and taught that everyone else is the enemy. If you're not a Davenport, you're the enemy. So Mako should be afraid because Davenport is fire and fury. She says she is the rightful heir to the women's championship, and enemies of the heir beware.
She Ryan.
I thought this was pretty cool, and NXT UK, I've noticed since we've kind of been covering it a bit closely now, they seem to produce at least one really good pre-recorded segment each week, right? Like whoever's doing their production stuff, it's pretty cool. Generally stylish, cool looking. I think they've done a good job building Davenport into a legitimate threat recently, right? Because I'm kind of on board with her, and I wasn't before. So I think these have been successful.
Yeah, I think she's all right. I'm not super into it as you are, but I think she's all right. And I thought this was all right. Like you said, they do excel in these pre-recorded segments. They've been really good, yeah.
We then get our sort of middle. It's generally like 3 matches, right? And this is the middle match where
middle match is usually more squashy than the other two.
Less high profile for sure. So it's Amelia McKenzie taking on Isla Dawn, and we're reminded quickly that Dawn took Mackenzie's watch in 2021 as like a collecting trophy kind of gimmick, and that Mackenzie has asked for it back. So I give them credit for at least trying to provide some story and stakes to this quick little match, right? So they put in a bit of effort there. I don't know how well it worked, but at least there's some reason for this match to happen. So early on, Amelia Mackenzie's working on Isla Dawn's arm. We get a shotgun dropkick by Mackenzie, followed by a swinging neckbreaker for a 2 count. Then a Saito suplex a bit later by Isla Dawn, and then I called it a leg trap back suplex by Mackenzie, and then a spear for a 2 count. Another shotgun drop kick sends Dawn to the outside, and Mackenzie follows it up with a suicide dive. Mackenzie then misses a top rope splash. Dawn immediately pretty much hits her spinning side slam finisher, which I don't love, but whatever, I guess.
I don't even remember it. No, I can't. No, still don't.
And she picks up the win here. And then for whatever reason, Isla Dawn does return Amelia Mackenzie's watch to her. So I don't know why, but I kind of enjoyed this match probably more than you. I'll guess. I like Isla Dawn. I think
Yeah, I think her character is just kind of odd. Like, I don't see what exactly it's
she's
supposed
like
to. It
a
seems like a little too supernatural as well. Like, I
she's
don't.
like a witch, but like a realistic witch,
I,
like a Wiccan sort of.
is there such thing as a realistic witch?
But well, she's not like casting spells and doing magic and stuff, right?
They said the spell a couple times. So they're
yeah,
like mentioned. Like, so I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't think she's great in the ring
and
either.
she had a match with Mako a while ago that I really enjoyed, and she kind of won me over. So I like Isla
I
Dawn.
think that's just Mako pulling a
Could
Tom.
be.
They're pulling a Tom McGee on you.
It could be. And I think Amelia McKenzie's good in her role as like the competitive enhancement talent who gets more. She doesn't just get squashed; she actually hits some stuff, and she's known as
kind of the stepping stone to Mako.
I think her middle name or her nickname is like what did they call her? Suplex Millie or something. So she's known for a lot of suplexes. So I don't know. I kind of enjoyed this a little bit. I think we then get Amal. She's responding to Ginny's earlier promo. And Amal's basically saying it's about representation, and Amal has not forgotten where she's come from. She is hope, and hope never dies. Your thoughts compared to Ginny? I don't think it was as strong.
I think that final line is factual, because considering I have watched Star Wars before. But yeah, it was okay. Ginny definitely beat her in this.
Yeah, I think
exchange.
so too. But I didn't think this was bad. It was a nice quick response to Ginny.
Yeah.
And honestly, they've done a pretty solid build to this like mid-card women's feud, right? Like I don't think it's been bad at all. It's not taking up a ton of time. It's pretty simple and straightforward, so I think it's been a good job. We then get a Dragunov Devlin package where it's sort of summarizing their previous videos they've had, and then also a little bit of new commentary from each of them, I think. So again, the focus has been on Dragunov being a family man and having a young son at home, and Devlin being like the overconfident narcissist
I like Devlin's
kind of
point
thing.
though. He was saying like now Dragunov has a lot more to lose and whatnot,
Right.
and he doesn't really like because he's only fighting for himself, so he has less to lose, which I thought was kind of a cool point.
Yep.
I really
it's Devlin treating Dragunov's family as a weakness, and Dragunov insisting that they're a strength, right?
Which usually, like, I'm not like, but like, I feel like Devlin seems kind of right for some reason.
Devlin suggests an empty arena match to strip away all of the extra stuff and to truly go one-on-one on a level playing field. And of course, Dragunov, the fighting champion, accepts, and he finishes by saying that Dragunov will breathe in oxygen and breathe out fire. What'd you think? And of the promos, the stip, the build to this, the whole
love the
shebang.
Stipulation. That's just it's never the most interesting stipulation. Like I see where Devlin's coming from,
right.
but I don't
like
think
the fans fuel you and whatever, so I'm going to remove those from the match.
I just don't think it's very interesting. Period. And also coming off of almost 2 years of that being the majority of, like, I'm guarantee if they faced off in 2020, oh my God, it's an empty arena match.
Right.
I mean, at least they can't say first ever empty arena match anymore.
I completely agree with you. Like, it's too soon to do this, right? We're just getting past empty arena matches everywhere. So I like the package quite a bit, and I've enjoyed the build to this match, and it's a match that I really want to see, and I think it'll be pretty awesome. But yeah, the empty arena stipulation, like, it's too soon, right? We had empty arenas for a very long time across many promotions until they came up with worse alternatives like the Thunderdome or whatever.
Before finally getting back.
But so yeah, I don't understand that stipulation. So I was wondering why they went with that over all other possibilities.
Is a reason, but as far as like right now, I don't see that being very like I don't see the point.
It doesn't add anything for me.
Yeah.
Like it fits Devlin's logic, but I don't think it makes the match more interesting for me.
For sure.
Then we get the main event, which is A-Kid challenging Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup. And just quickly to summarize,
not a more contenders match.
Quickly summarize the rounds. Round one, we basically had a lengthy double knuckle lock and a lot of holds and counters, which is pretty standard for these types of matches. Dar spends some time targeting A-Kid's midsection because he has the kin tape on his midsection as a target. And then commentary remind us that Dar is trying to win in the fourth round, right? Because he and Shaw Samuels have bet on Noam Dar to win, and the longest odds were in the fourth round. So his goal is to beat A-Kid in the fourth round to win money. Round two, we get a lengthy cravat by A-Kid. Dar takes control, goes back to the midsection of A-Kid for a little bit. We get some near falls for each man at this point in this round. And then at the end, Noam Dar misses a pump kick and falls to the floor, but time sort of expires. Round three, things start picking up. We get a draping guillotine and a really swift kick from Noam Dar. and then we get a bunch of kicks, and then a leaping enziguri by Dar,
which is his finisher. I think it's a Nova Roller.
It looked cool.
Say. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan that he uses an enziguri, but he does nail that pretty nice. Yeah, I will say.
Yeah, it's nicer than most enziguris for sure.
Oh wait, whoa, Dragunov though. I said most. Dragunov, okay.
I said most.
Yeah. I mean, I think Dragon. He literally ends matches with that, right?
Does.
He breaks people's necks. Is that what it was?
Something like that.
He broke his neck with an... Imagine that's what they go with. He just has a neck brace on from an insecurity.
Round 4. A-Kid goes for submissions. Dar fights out. Lands a really big kick. Samuels pulls Dar out of the way of a dive to the outside, and A-Kid lands really hard there. A-Kid beats the 10 count. Walks right into a really nice back elbow from Noam Dar.
Yeah, he hit a couple of nice ones. Like Chris Jericho. Solid. I hope you're watching this match.
Right. Then a knuckle lock into like a back flipping DDT off the top as A-Kid avoids another cheating attempt by Samuels.
Could have been like, I don't know, I feel like the DDT was kind of meh to like end, but I think it was kind of cool that he did that.
Yeah,
also,
looked clean.
I'm definitely getting the Noam Dar figure when that comes.
For sure. So there's a fall here at the end of this, and obviously the round ends, so that makes Samuels really mad because he's not going to win his bet that he made.
Moolah.
So basically now we've got it's 1-0 A-Kid at the end of that round, right? So round 5 we get
no, it's 1-1. Remember, he already won a fall with the Nova Roller.
Oh, right. So we're tied up going into the last few rounds or a couple rounds, which is when I find these types of matches always pick up because now
I wasn't super high on these matches before, but I'll talk about it after.
Me too.
Yeah.
So we get an avalanche, I don't know, arm drag hip toss by A-Kid for 2 that looked pretty good.
I don't remember.
A knee bar by Dar is countered into an arm bar, which is...
Knee bar by Dar.
Knee bar countered into an arm bar, countered into an arm bar, and countered into something. So this was just like 2 guys that...
I like, what... Like he called it the champagne super knee bar or something.
Yes.
I thought that
Dar's
was really funny.
Yeah. So this is 2 guys with a knowledge of a lot of submissions just countering each other as they're frantically trying to get that finishing submission,
you can feel
which
that
is cool.
Too, right?
Yes. German suplex by A-Kid, more submissions and counters, and then a big kick by A-Kid, but time expires in the round.
Yeah, it was really nice too. I forgot the flying super kick or something. Like,
yes.
It looks like a really nice, just crisp like heel kick or single leg drop kick. Just really
right to the face.
Just crisp.
Yep. The 6th round, so each man, of course, is desperately trying for a pinfall at this point.
This is the last round,
that's
regardless.
Right. And if it ends in a tie, that's the championship advantage, and Dar will win, right?
Kind of like an Iron Man match, how that would work.
Right.
Right, similar to that.
So A-Kid takes out Samuels with a dive. We get a big kick and another nice back elbow by Dar for a 2 count.
That one was a really good one,
Solid.
I think. Yeah.
A flying super kick out of nowhere by A-Kid for a 2 count. Yeah. Another a really nice spinning back fist by Noam Dar, but A-Kid counters the pinfall attempts into an omoplata,
which is like that. It's like that Rings of Saturn kind of
really
move,
good.
But then he puts his leg over his arm, and just like both of his arms are just like back behind him.
Kind of like the Venus de Milo, that,
almost,
but with the leg involved.
It's so cool.
But so Dar manages to hold on and not give up, and time expires.
Right, he kind of applies that in the last 10 seconds.
Yep. So he's in this painful looking hold, but he holds on, time expires, and Dar retains the cup in what turns out to be a draw and utilizes that championship advantage. So my comments, much like most of these Heritage Cup matches, the first couple rounds are like mat-based with lots of holds and counters.
And nothing much happens unless they can try to like sneak a fall, right?
And it makes sense because neither man wants to lose the advantage early. Like nobody wants to give up a pinfall or a submission early on, so they're kind of cautious and feeling each other out. So it kind of really makes sense. And then the action picks up as each man, especially the challenger, right, because he has to win decisively, they start to get frantic to win. So I think you're coming around too. I've started to really appreciate this format as the time limit makes for exciting final rounds, right? Because there is a definite end to this, right? There is it's a finite amount of time, and then things are going to end. So I really like this match.
They don't even go sudden death, I think.
No.
Or unless it's... Do they? No, because it didn't hear.
It ends in a draw, and he wins.
They would have.
So I like this match, especially the final 2 rounds when guys are really trying to pick up the win here. I think this division offers something different, and I've really come around, and I quite like the structure.
And like you're saying, it's like something like it, but it's better than Pure Rules.
Right, and I think you have to. It is for sure.
Because Pure Rules like leans into that a little much,
and
right?
It also means you have to have people that can wrestle in this division, right?
So you're
because
guaranteed
there's so
like,
many,
matches.
so many holds and counters and counter moves
and they
and
can
things.
always plan to fit in the show because it's like
yes,
even if it's a draw like this, then it's a certain amount of time where like it goes shorter than a draw, right? Like it has to. Like, they can at least plan for however long.
I'm surprised how much I like the format of these matches.
Yeah, I really like this one. I definitely like... I never thought he was bad or anything, but I ended up really loving Noam Dar after this.
Very entertaining, and his character works really good, too.
He was just crisp in the ring, too.
Yep.
He just... Like, the Nova Roller, I shouldn't like that, but it was very nice and scary. But he was just on point. I think A-Kid's pretty nice, too. He's kind of boring outside of the ring, in my opinion.
Dar's in crazy shape now,
compared
to... But
I think... A-Kid's really awesome in these matches as well. I think Dar, I really definitely came around on Dar. Sucks he's only going to get a basic figure, but I'll take that. But yeah, really cool. He's probably going to get released before that happens.
I agree with you, and I wish they'd ditch the cup and go with the belt, but I guess it's something different. But you're right, like it's Shaw Samuels carrying it around for Dar, which, whatever.
And like they could still call it the Heritage Rules, right? And then like
the Heritage Championship. Right. Fine. I don't care.
Yeah, even the NXT UK Heritage Championship. Boom.
Yeah, that's done.
I think the cup is just not great. I don't mind that's like, because what they could have done is you have a Heritage Championship and the Heritage Cup is like a #1 contender tournament that they do every year.
Right.
Like that would honestly be awesome. I would love that. Just a year, you have a yearly Heritage Cup, you have the championship, perfect. I don't love the cup as a title, but I do want something like this because I think the matches are nice. So if the cup is what you have to do, then that's what you have to do.
And it kind of becomes like this is the work rate division, right? Like these are the guys that really have to be able to work,
title
or it's not going to work. So yeah, I thought this was a really enjoyable main event, and obviously
I really liked it. Yeah.
Obviously, it leaves the door open for a rematch, right? Because we got to a draw, so I'm totally fine with seeing these guys do this again.
That's true. I didn't even think about that, but we could have another match.
Yep. So overall thoughts, I liked this episode. The opening tag match I thought was solid, but not spectacular. I liked the women's match maybe even more than I should have, and I thought the main event was really good. And then the segments and vignettes are really strong on this product. I like the Gallus D Familia one, the Dragunov Devlin one, and Davenport. So really easy show to watch for me, an hour that kind of flew by. I gave it a B+ this week. If the opener had been a little bit more interesting, it could have gotten in the A range, but the main event and the vignettes I thought were really good. So I'm kind of getting more into this product as we watch it more consistently, right? Like
we also forgot to mention Noam Dar's got a nice theme song as well.
Because I gave you the option of maybe we opt out of it this week and we could talk about Impact, but you're like, no, I kind of want to, and I feel the same way. Like it's only an hour.
Yeah, because I only half watched Impact, but I definitely am happy that I did decide to go with this because I think the Heritage match was really awesome.
Yep, I was very happy. Did you want to slap a letter grade on this show?
Yeah, so I think from a match standpoint it was fine. I think the tag match was all right. The women's match was just kind of the standard squash, and then the main event was awesome. I think that was like I feel like as long as they have a strong main event, I'm pretty happy with the show.
Right,
it's a short show.
Exactly.
The Ginny promo I really enjoyed. The Gallus D Familia segment, that's cool. That should be a nice match next week. I assume that's the main event. They've been really delivering on the main events lately, which I always appreciate. Just because Dynamite, like especially, kind of let me down this week with the main event. So it's always good to end on a high, right?
Absolutely.
So, there's also that. The Dragunov Devlin segment was cool. Is that next week too? I think Devlin Dragunov.
Wow, if it is, that's a stacked show then.
Yeah, because then that's the main event. Yes, my bad. Sure. But that'll be good too. Anyways, the Davenport promo was fine, and Amal was alright as well. But overall, a pretty good show. By their standards, I think it was like pretty good. So I don't know. I'd give it a B+ by their standards for sure.
And I think what we're sort of settling into is we're gonna get cool videos every week and one at least really good wrestling match, and in an hour that's pretty solid stuff.
That's all you can ask for. That's probably what you'd get from NXT at the very least, right? Back in the good old days.
Yep. So I'm starting to kind of feel good about NXT UK, and I'm kind of enjoying it the way I used to enjoy NXT back in its, even before its glory days, before it got to be super indie. It kind of felt
definitely feels like NXT in its glory days for me, like a little bit, like I not as much super indie, but and I feel like they can also like salvage people from NXT main who aren't being used. Like, oh my God, Pete Dunne would make a killing in the Heritage Cup division.
Exactly.
Because I don't, they don't want him to go back. Like, I feel like he could go. He hasn't been heel in NXT UK before. I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Because he was face. And then he teamed with Dragunov, which I think was his last match. Remember, he was like a producer for a bit ish.
Yeah.
But anyways, he could be heel against Dragunov. That would be awesome, and that guy would be a beast in the Heritage Cup match.
He would.
Oh my god, that would be insane. I mean, he would look kind of. I don't know how he's gonna hold a cup in his mouth, but.
And I feel like it's a combination of you've got like established really good wrestlers in UK, and then you've also got some people that do still need development.
You got decent like up and coming talent pool.
But they're actually wrestlers already, right? It's not like this is a football guy that we're gonna make you watch go from zero to wrestler, right? So it's people who are just getting more exposure and getting more seasoning, but are actually wrestlers already. So I really like it. I've quite enjoyed it.
Agreed.
But anyways, let's move into talking about other wrestling stuff in our segment called Any Other Wrestling Business. All right, so all I'm really going to talk about for Any Other Wrestling Business this week is NXT.
Crapfest 2.0.
I did watch a bit of MLW. Nothing really stood out to me. I'm struggling. I want to get into it. We talked about it a bit.
I do kind of, but I was saying too, like, I feel like I'm gonna end up only caring about the people that I know. Like,
right.
I don't care a lot about most of the people that they have. I feel like it's kind of hard to understand what's going on too, and just like kind of get into it really. Like, I feel like it'll be like it's like what TNA always wanted. Like, you come because you recognize people or whatever. Like,
I'm struggling. Like, I've checked it out and watched a good chunk of it, and they're partly trying to do the Lucha Underground thing again, and it's not nearly as interesting this time around. So I'm struggling a bit with it, so I'm not even going to really talk about it here. But I am going to talk about NXT 2.0, which will be fun for you because you like when I suffer and get annoyed with things. And let me tell you, man, this was an episode where it became abundantly clear that NXT 2.0 is simply Raw Junior, right? And with the same people now officially in charge of both shows, it should really come as no surprise, right? It's the same people doing the same type of stuff, just with worse wrestlers and worse talent, basically, right? So it's tough. Full disclosure, I fell asleep 3 times during this show. Had to go back to find out where I dozed off. So I did watch every minute of it. I did it for you listeners because I'm hoping you guys are not watching this crap. So I'm here to quickly recap
so you get to hear about it.
What I consider a mess of a product. So it starts out with LA Knight. He's shown entering the building. He's asking Andre Chase where his student, who we learn later his name is Bodie, I think it is. So he's asking them where Grayson Waller is. And then he says a quick hello to Briggs and Jensen and heads towards the ring. So then he is in the ring. He does his best dollar store rock impersonation, right? And tries to get a Grayson sucks chant going, which doesn't really get going. He summarizes he and Waller's history together, and eventually Waller's music cuts a night off.
Why did they start feuding? Because they had a match for the
both
host,
wanted to be the host.
And then Waller started hosting anyways, and then they got beat up by Solo Sikoa.
That is some storytelling right there, man.
Indeed,
it's amazing.
It is.
So Waller comes out, and he's got a restraining order. And LA Knight can't come within 50 feet of Waller without getting arrested, despite the fact that the majority of this segment has Knight well within the 50 feet of Waller.
Well,
but
he's
anyways,
informing him about the restraining order.
I guess. So as of now, starting now, you can't get near me.
Right.
Knight praises Waller for being a little bit clever, but says that Waller doesn't have a restraining order against him. And then, of course, Loomis's Tron.
So Knight is friends with Loomis now.
So Loomis's Tron hits, his music hits. Waller is obviously looking scared and stares up the ramp, but guess what? Loomis appears from under the ring right behind Waller. Knight says that Waller can either tear up the restraining order or face Loomis.
Mm-hmm.
So here's one of my favorite things to say. Are we to believe that because LA Knight says so, that's the only choice Waller has? Like super mega.
Who else is gonna say it?
Super mega heel Waller can't just go no and walk away, right? Like LA Knight's options are legally binding options, apparently.
Right.
So he either can rip up the contract and get his butt kicked by LA Knight, or he can face Loomis instead. Because there is no authority figure, right? And the wrestlers just constantly make their own booking decisions on this show. super annoying and a constant reminder, right, for me, that they're not even trying to make this feel realistic in the slightest. So here's the options. Either they're writing this for children who would never ask the type of questions we're asking, or they think the audience is stupid, or they're just lazy and don't really care.
All of the above.
So from my perspective, none of those options are good, right? Like, this doesn't make sense. Why doesn't Waller just go, no, you can't tell me what to do, and walk away?
And it's the dumbest people on the planet.
So this felt really main roster right out of the gate. We basically get a 10-minute talking segment to start the show. LA Knight at this point, he's just really unoriginal and clearly going for like an Attitude Era vibe. And I find it forced and irritating. He's like over the top and kind of dialed his character up to 11. And on a show where almost everyone else is still trying to like find a character, it comes off as jarring to me because they're just like emerging, developing characters. And here's this guy like just cranked up to 11, right? So I thought Waller did a solid job in his role. But I mean, this was just like, again, a main roster light segment to start the show. So we then get the match. It is Grayson Waller. He actually defeats Dexter Lumis in what I think was a pretty basic WWE style match with nothing much of significance happening. We do get, I guess, significant, a big guy in a suit who is apparently Siraj, formerly of Indus-Sher, right? So he shows up and he runs Dexter Lumis into the ring post outside on the floor at one point, and that is all Waller needs to hit his rolling cutter from the apron into the ring for the win in just under 10 minutes. So I felt like the match was fine. It was probably more about introducing Siraj. I don't know if that's the name they're even going with, because commentary had to do the WWE thing where they've never seen this guy before.
Who's this?
Right?
Oh my gosh,
who is this giant
Aziz?
man? So it's something that we will get a lot this week, is where it's kind of like the match is secondary to some of the storyline. And one of the reasons I dislike this show so much, not to spoil my overall thoughts on it, but I think I already have. So I guess Grayson Waller has his heavy, right? He has his Diesel, his bodyguard, which makes sense because he's angry.
No, I think this is AJ Styles on the left.
Because he's like pissing off literally everybody on the show. So I guess his feud with Knight continues. Hooray! Then Malcolm Bivens is backstage from earlier. He's talking about how the Creeds will run through the tag team division. He takes a quick shot at Imperium, and Walter shows up and pins Bivens to the locker. Roderick Strong comes in.
Who is this Walter you speak of?
Right? For now, he's Walter. So Strong shows up to save Bivens, says he's not afraid of Walter, and that's how we get our main event match tonight, which is the only thing interesting on this show.
Yep.
So again, it's a fine segment, I guess, but it feels a little bit juvenile, like it's the high school, you're bullying the guy in the locker room sort of thing, and Roddy's the one that stands up to the bully kind of thing. So again, kind of fits in with this juvenile feel, but Walter is believable as an intimidating bully monster. So, and it sets up what should be a good match in the main event. So there were a lot of worse things on this show than this segment. We then get a Dusty Cup hype video with each team getting a few seconds to say a few words, which I'm not going to go over. But who are the teams in the tournament? Do you know?
Okay, I got this.
Ready? Because there's only, 1, 2, 3, 8, I think?
8.
Yeah. So what do we got?
Briggs and Jensen.
Briggs and Jensen is correct.
Imperium.
No.
No, wait, sorry, never mind.
How dare you?
MSK.
MSK is correct.
Jacket Time.
Jacket Time is correct.
Did I already say the Creeds?
You did not say the Creeds.
Okay. Oh, okay. Then Diamond Mine, Creeds.
Right.
Anafe and the other guy.
Yep. Blade, Anafe and Blade.
Legato.
Legato's correct. And one more. Oh, no, sorry, 2 more.
Andre Chase and Bodie.
Correct. And a veteran team, no pun intended.
Oh, right. Grizzled Young Veterans.
Right. So there's your
teams. They should win.
The Grizzled Young Veterans, the Creeds, Briggs, Jensen, Jacket Time, Hayward and Chase, Legato, Blade and Afe, and MSK.
That's such a weak roster.
So it was actually a good little package just to basically introduce or remind us who the competitors are in the tournament. So again, compared to a lot of things, I didn't have much of a problem with this. We then get MSK. They're backstage being their annoying selves, talking about how they will have a banger of a match against Jacket Time in the first round.
Yeah, that's what people say.
That's how people talk. They get interrupted by Legato, and the two teams talk to each other in a way that real humans don't speak. But this is just main roster crap now, so we may as well get used to it.
Right.
Legado say that if MSK beat Jacket Time, they'll face Legado in the semis, and MSK remind Legado that they first have to beat Anafe and Blade. So for me, this pretty much telegraphed that match, because Anafe and Blade are on this story of like, we're the underdogs who are winning matches, and you've already got the heel team overlooking them. So gee, I wonder what could possibly happen in their match that's coming up. So I didn't think this was good. I thought everybody sounded pretty stupid here in a conversation that felt like, how would I describe main roster? Scripted and unrealistic, right? And that's exactly what this felt like. So we do get that match. It's Dusty Cup first round match. Actually, not that one yet, sorry. It's Briggs and Jensen taking on the Creeds. So early on, Brutus takes a knee from Jensen that looked legit to me. Like, I think Brutus got kneed in the face directly. His mouth guard flew off at this point, and his mouth was bloody for the rest of the match. So I think he basically took a straight knee to the face from Jensen here. But anyways, Jensen eventually gets taken out on the floor. That leaves Briggs alone to take a torture rack slam into a sliding clothesline from the Creeds for the win in 5.5 minutes. So I thought this match was okay. There was a little bit of sloppiness along the way. I do think that the Creeds have potential, right? They move really well. They're both big guys. They have an amateur background. They can throw people and hit suplexes. Some of their stuff looks really good. Briggs and Jensen are just brawlers.
Yeah, it sucks that the Creeds, like, they kind of came at the wrong time, because they're decent, right?
They are
like,
decent.
So
I think they'll be one that will get built pretty quickly. And again, they're a tag team, right? So WWE hates tag teams, so no matter
they're
what.
also a brother team, though, which
right.
seems to be
so
like
possible, yeah.
A thing for them.
So Briggs and Jensen are just brawlers that really simple. One of my criticisms is their double team offense. Like, one, they do a double team shoulder tackle. Ooh.
Wow.
And then the other one, they do a double team where they slide out of the ring and punch the guy who's hanging in the ropes, which I forget which Creed brother did it this time, but it looked really contrived and kind of silly. So not a great match, and a 5-minute tournament match. We then get a Dante Chen vignette. Do you remember him?
Yep. He has been gone for some reason. I was like, he's on 205 a couple times.
So he basically had his debut match, but then wrecked his knee shortly after that, and he's been he said it's been hard basically watching his colleagues have success as he sits on the sidelines. He then goes on to talk about his father, who is his biggest fan and mentor. He died 2 months ago and only got to see his son have one match. He has a father to make proud and a country of Singapore to represent, and he's ready to compete. So I actually liked this segment. I thought his delivery was pretty good, and it felt real, which is what I always like. I honestly don't even remember his first match, but at least they provided...
He won with a wing clipper, and you beat Trey Baxter in like a minute.
At least they provided some character development for this guy, and I always appreciate any effort to sort of add depth to wrestlers' characters, so we learned some real stuff about him here. I kind of liked it. We then get a subtitled conversation between Imperium backstage. Walter says that Eichner and Bartel have done well, and they say they're going to keep it up, and this is the year of Imperium. Today is the day they start their mission. They dominated the UK, and today the rest begins with Roderick Strong. So a solid, very quick segment. Pretty generic content, but it was fine. And again, I like that they're speaking in foreign languages with subtitles. I think that is just... I think the message is that they don't care if anyone in America can understand them, because they're a heel group, right? And they're talking to each other. They're not talking to fans, which I kind of like. And they're probably more comfortable speaking in this language anyways, so they come across a little better. We then get the return of Dante Chen as he faces Guru Raj, who I don't remember or know if we've seen him.
He's a jobber.
Is he? Okay. So Raj gets a bit of offense right away, and then Chen eventually hits a dive over the top to Raj on the floor, and then Duke Hudson emerges from the crowd, attacks Raj to get Chen DQ'd in less than a minute. So welcome back, Dante Chen. You get a less than a minute match. He then goes on to attack Chen in the ring, power bombs him before officials get involved. So again, just another match to set up an angle. The match doesn't matter. Wrestling doesn't matter. It's all about the stories that they're telling. It's just too bad that the stories are terrible and the dialogue is terrible. So you're really getting nothing out of this show. It seems like on the plus side, Hudson has dropped the poker gimmick. He did not come out in a sequined vest. He did not make any reference to poker or anything. So, and I will say that Hudson looked pretty vicious in his attack. So maybe that's something to cling on to in this dumpster fire of a television show.
Dumpster fire.
Backstage, Joe Gacy's talking with Harland about how they didn't get into the Dusty Cup. He's not mad with Harland, he's just disappointed, but this is an opportunity for growth and development. Odyssey Jones shows up on crutches, or maybe only one crutch. He thinks that Gacy's full of crap. Gacy thanks Jones for his feedback, which I thought was funny, opens the door for Jones as Jones leaves. So Gacy walks off, and Harland, because there's like a window in the door, so Gacy walks off as Harland is sort of staring at Jones as he walks away, leading us to wonder, what is Harland going to do? So I like Gacy's work here, even though Harland barely does anything. I find him really effective as the intimidating monster just kind of standing there. I think Jones was the weak link in this segment. He barely did anything, but I guess they're just trying to keep him on TV, as I think he is actually nursing an injury for real, so I guess this gets him on TV. Mackenzie's then talking to Braun Breaker backstage about being the NXT champion. She asks about Breaker's interaction with Santos Escobar, and Elektra Lopez walks up and interrupts. Breaker just immediately shuts her down and tells her she's not interested. And then Santos Escobar shows up next. He says that Breaker's not ready to carry NXT, and that NXT 2.0 is going to look better with the title on Escobar's shoulder. Fat chance, unfortunately. Breaker responds, asks Santos to give him a reason to kick his ass, but Escobar says that things are done on his time. So I think Breaker's like passable on the mic, or maybe a little bit better than that. He's not great, but he's not terrible either. Escobar sounded good, and he looks like a star, and Lopez in her limited role in this one was fine as well. Then it's Tony D'Angelo. He's going to have a memorial ceremony for Pete Dunne. I'm wondering if this is the writing off of Pete Dunne.
Oh, where's he going?
Main roster? I don't know. This felt like... So there's a coffin in the ring.
So yeah, it is a funeral for him, I guess, if he's going to main roster.
Right, literally. Coffin in the ring with the broken crowbar on top of it. A framed picture of Pete Dunne posing is set up in the corner. We've got dramatic music going on. D'Angelo's dressed in black. It's a full-on funeral, whatever. So Dunne didn't listen, so D'Angelo taught him a lesson. The casket is closed since D'Angelo broke the crowbar across Pete Dunne's face. Tony says he's on to bigger and better things now. He just got done beating one of the most decorated champions in NXT history. Is that can you fact check that for me?
What?
How many championships does Pete Dunne have in NXT?
2.
Okay, so I guess that's a little decorated.
Wait. Yes, 2. Yep. Well, he was UK champion for second longest time, and he was technically NXT Tag Team champion.
That's briefly. The only one I remembered. I don't know if they're counting UK. I guess so. Anyways, he says it's time to add some gold to his collection. He's got his eyes on the NXT North American Championship. Well, that doesn't sit well with Mello and Trick, who they show up in the stand somewhere with microphones, and now they go back and forth with D'Angelo. Actually, Trick Williams made me laugh a couple times on his what he was saying, believe it or not. So Cameron Grimes eventually walks out as well. Grimes says he's first in line, etc. And then the segment ends with D'Angelo making a match, because that's what you do, between Grimes and Carmelo Hayes. It's going to be a match between himself and Cameron Grimes for a shot at the North American title, because you can just make your own matches here. So D'Angelo then tries to attack Grimes and gets Pete Dunne's portrait slammed over his head to end the segment. What I did like about D'Angelo here is when he sold getting hit with the picture, which we can see is just made of cardboard, he didn't sell it like he was hurt. He sold it like he was like humiliated and embarrassed, which I thought was a good choice. So I don't know, overall D'Angelo's character is still just makes me cringe as much as it usually does. I thought Mello was good. Trick is actually improving. He's sort of settling into a more appropriate role for himself, and I thought he was kind of funny here a couple times. And Grimes is a little bit more serious than he has been, which I appreciate still. But yet again, wrestlers have the power to make their own matches, even a match that doesn't involve them personally, which I think is kind of dumb. So Briggs and Jensen aren't happy about their loss. This was so bad. Oh my God, this segment. So they're mad about their loss, but Briggs says they'll be all right and they just have to get back to work. So Casey, Catanzaro, and Caden Carter come in and say that the four of them should go out and party together. Wendy Chu, obviously, is napping on top of the lockers behind them.
Oh, imagine she was planking.
And she wakes up and says, because again, this is a show for adults, about adults, that Jensen likes Kaden Carter. So that's the story we're going
I
with.
saw only her line. They put a clip and that was only her line.
Oh, you missed the best part, because then Jensen gets all like tongue-tied, like, oh, I like her, but not in that. Well, I don't like her. Well, no, it's not that I don't like her, but I don't like her. Like, just that whole, and he's really bad.
Like a school child.
So he's acting like a 12-year-old here. He likes her, but doesn't like her that way, sort of thing. And it just kind of ends with him stumbling. So I hated this. And I don't know, are Carter and Catanzaro heels? Because you have this babyface tag team saying we just need to get back to work. And then they come and go like, no, you got to come out and party with us instead. So I don't know. Jensen's behaving like a child. This was horribly written, brutally delivered. I'm not sure who this segment is for, and it's just bad television, and I don't think that's like a subjective opinion. It's just bad TV.
It is.
We then get what is it, Valentina Feroz and Talisa Leone.
It should be Feroz.
Yulisa, sorry.
It should be Feroz, man. Feroz just sounds unnatural.
Her name's her name. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
They get a vignette where they talk about Feroz being a black belt in jiu-jitsu and Leone being an accomplished powerlifter. And then they sort of have them talking to, I think it's Mackenzie, after the little vignette. So they say they're two badass women who fight hard and play hard. They have different nationalities and backgrounds, but the same goals in NXT, and that is the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Dakota Kai walks up laughing, says they're adorable, and again uses that line of nothing divides friendship more than success. So Feroz asks what Kai's problem is. Kai says she'll make it her problem, so it looks like those two are going to get a match tonight. So again, I liked learning about Feroz and Leone's backstory, about their sort of athletic prowess and things related to professional wrestling, so I thought that was good. Their live promo was not quite as good, but that's okay. I think they still did a decent job. It wasn't as bad as someone like Jensen or the other big guy we love so much.
Wagner.
Yes, so better than them.
You forgot his name.
And I still can't stand Dakota Kai's current character, but this felt a little bit more subtle this week, so I didn't hate it quite as much. But so good package, decent promo, poor Dakota Kai. We then get Kaylee Ray taking on Ivy Nile, so right out of the gate, this made me nervous because I don't think either of these women should be losing at this point, right? So I assume there's some sort of screwy finish coming, but that would never happen, right? It's all going to be straight up wrestling on this show from now on. Nope.
Yep.
So the finish comes after about 4 minutes when Mandy Rose comes down to distract Kaylee Ray, and Ivy Nile counters a KLR bomb into a roll-up for the win. So another match.
Roll-up victory.
Yepper, distraction roll-up, bud. They're coming fast and furious here. So another match where the angle's more important than the match itself. And we get the favorite main roster finish brought to us, a distraction roll-up. The match itself was fine, I guess. Nile needs some work, but she does have some massive potential. I'm just already so annoyed by this whole, like, we can't have matches. It's all got to be even Steven. Nobody can actually win a match legitimately, right? It's all got to be shenanigans. So great. After the match, Toxic Attraction continue to attack Kaylee Ray until Persia Parada and Indy Hartwell run down to make the save, and they stand tall with Kaylee Ray.
Kaylee Ray's from the UK and they're Australian. Boom.
I do not like Kaylee Ray in this role. To me, she's a lone wolf, like the unpredictable sort of person. I don't want her forging a relationship with Hartwell and Parada. It just felt awkward to me. On the plus side, it seems like the Hartwell-Loomis stuff is kind of in the rearview mirror now, because neither Loomis nor Hartwell made reference to any romantic stuff on the show.
So what was the point of that?
Well, just for entertainment's sake. It was super entertaining while it lasted.
Right.
Nope. So then we go backstage, and Harland has clearly attacked Odyssey Jones. Jones is lying on the floor, clutching his injured knee. And I believe Harland's standing behind them with a bent crutch, and Gacy is just grinning, and he and Harland leave. Oh boy, Saray. Did you watch this at all? Did this come across your stuff?
I'll talk about that because I told you. I remember I showed you the 2K20 character.
Yeah. So Saray is Sailor Moon. I don't know if you know who Sailor Moon is, but anyways, she tells us she's kind of dressed like a schoolgirl in like pigtails and the whole deal, and
she's got glasses. And so if anyone wants to know what she looks like, search up Sasha Memory Banks from 2K20. Which is from 2K Originals. If anyone doesn't know, that's basically like the DLC packs that they had for 2K20. They were all like based on some weird concept. Like one of them was Wasteland, one of them was futuristic,
right?
One of them was Southpaw, and so it's Sasha Memory Banks, which is just like a nerdy girl kind of.
Yep.
And it looks exactly like what Saray looks like here.
Yeah, so she talks about struggling in NXT and she didn't really win much, so she went back to Japan. And you know what she got? She got a necklace that her grandmother gave to her. And now inside the ring, she's the warrior of the sun, and she's returning with passion and energy. Well, now she's got the necklace as a power-up, man. How dare you?
Oh, it's a power-up. Like, so are we doing like Mario now?
So I feel like this is going to be the necklace has some sort of powers, and I'm going to hate it, but I don't know yet, right? So I guess we'll see.
I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, like, we got Boa over here. We got, like... I don't know what Xia Li's doing on SmackDown,
but after hearing some good backstory earlier, right, for Chen and Feroz, and Leon, this felt completely scripted and ridiculous. In addition, she's dressed like a schoolgirl and kind of acting as though she's almost a child. So I'm kind of not sure what I'm supposed to think about this, other than it was really, really bad. I wasn't super impressed with Saray before. Like, her drop kick in the ropes looks good, but she didn't stand out to me in her brief time.
She had a couple good matches, but
this new character looks terrible.
It looks awful, yeah.
Dusty Cup first round match, Legado versus Blade and Anafe. So this, caps lock this, tag team tournament match went 3 minutes. So the first one went 5 minutes, this one went 3 minutes. Escobar trips Blade from the floor, doesn't get DQ'd, he just gets... Braun Breaker shows up, grabs Escobar from the apron and carries him into the back, and then Wild gets rolled up.
Like a little child who's throwing a fit?
So Wild is distracted by this, and guess what happens?
Roll up.
He gets rolled up by Blade. So the story of Blade and Anafe, like I told you this, the story of them stringing together like underdog wins, I don't think is a bad idea at all. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that Blade and Anafe could turn into a pretty good babyface team. But this 3-minute match they won by distraction makes them look more like a fluke, right? Like, it's not like they won by their own actions and abilities and potential. They won because somebody else distracted the guy and they rolled him up. So second distraction roll up of the night, it's disgusting. It's so gross. Roderick Strong shadowboxing backstage as Bivin talks about how Diamond Mine is 2 for 2 tonight, and then they'll become 3 for 3 when Strong wipes the mat with Walter. Walter thinks the mat is sacred, but it's not. It's just a revenue generator for Bivens. Walter is big and strong, but tonight the mat belongs to Roderick Strong and Diamond Mine. I don't have much to say. Bivens is really good, right? All of his promos are good. He's an awesome manager. So, moving on. Solo Sikoa has a bandage over half his face from the fireball last week. And he basically, eventually we see him without his bandage, and it looks kind of silly, like basic makeup stuff on here. He says next week he doesn't care where they go. Next week they go to war. I don't know. Sikoa's fine on the mic. He's fine in the ring.
I didn't see any stipulation for it. Is there a stipulation?
I didn't hear one,
then
though.
What's the point of having another match? Shouldn't they at least make some sort of change to it?
Well, if it's like main roster, they'll just tell us in the moment. They don't actually like promote anything, and if they do, they switch that anyways. So I could see WWE liking Sikoa and him being gone from NXT pretty quickly, because I think he's solid all around. I don't think he's amazing.
And he has a ready-made spot.
Exactly, and he's got connections. We then get the Dakota Kai versus Yelisa Leon. So Kai won this with a kick after 4 minutes. Kai continues the attack afterwards, but the faces obviously run her off here. Kai's running boot wash in the corner looked really bad. Might have been the camera angle, but I think Leon was a little bit nervous taking it and kind of moved her head back out of the way, so it looked like it missed. However, I will say Leon had a really nice looking gut wrench suplex that was really fast and impactful, and then she did like a fall away slam where she doesn't release and holds on for a bridging pin attempt, which I thought looked cool too. Nice. Otherwise, a decent 4-minute match, I guess. I'm glad Dakota Kai got a win here. Raquel Gonzalez says that she could make excuses for losing, I guess, but she won't, and she's still going after Mandy's title. Cora Jade interrupts and suggests that she and Gonzalez should be a team in the Dusty Cup, because you can just make those decisions on your own, right? You just declare that you're in it, and you're in it, I guess.
Right.
Raquel says she likes Cora, but Jade better not get in her way again, so thanks but no thanks to the tag team offer. Gonzalez walks off, and Jade leaves us saying that she will convince Gonzalez eventually.
Why?
Cora Jade's awful. I don't like these two together.
Why would she want to do that?
I don't know. It really feels like a waste of Gonzalez to me. I know Cora Jade's really young, but at this point, I don't see potential inside or outside the ring. I'd be thrilled if she proves me wrong. Like, I'd love nothing better than to later on say she's awesome, because people have done that. Like, I wasn't big on Dakota Kai when she showed up, wasn't big on Britt Baker, wasn't big on Serena Deeb, and now I think all three of those are awesome. So I've been wrong many times before, but I don't know what they're seeing in Jade at this point. Enofe and Blade are celebrating backstage, and Braun Breaker walks up to them. He says that he didn't do anything to really help them, and that the win is all them. He leaves, and they say no matter who they face next, they'll be ready. I'm kind of okay with Enofe and Blade. They're kind of realistic, right? They're just two guys trying to form a tag team who keep kind of winning surprisingly as underdogs, and they celebrate appropriately. So it kind of felt like a real interaction, which is kind of rare on this show. So then main event time, quickly, Walter versus Roderick Strong. Walter wins a really good 12-minute match after he counters a double underhook. We don't know what Roddy was going for, some sort of double underhook, and he gets power bombed, and Walter picks up the win here. And then, as you reported in the news, Walter interrupts the ring announcer to correct him and say that the winner of the match is Gunther. And I groaned out loud.
Gunther.
But
I don't know how to say it.
Whatever. A really good 12-minute match. Definitely the only match worth watching on this show. Lots of stiff chops along the way, because Roderick Strong, back when I was watching him in Ring of Honor, they would continuously put him over as having the hardest chops in the business, right? So between him and Walter chopping each other, a really fast pace in this to fill a relatively short main event, right? I'm glad Walter won, but I am still very nervous about how he's going to be used now that they seem to have committed to him in North America. I have zero confidence that they're going to do anything with the best wrestler they have in this company, in my opinion.
And still have Pete Dunne.
So overall grades, the main event pulled this show up to a passing grade for me because it was on pace to fail until that point. All of the other matches were completely missable, like nothing. There was a bland opener, 2 distraction roll-ups, and basically an instant disqualification. The Briggs and Jensen segment and the Catanzaro and Carter and the Saray segment were like awful in my opinion. But the Leon and Chen segments were actually pretty good. But this show still is a D+ for me. It continues to be an absolute chore to watch. It seems like they're committed to it doesn't matter what happens in the ring. We're all about stories that are terrible and juvenile. And I mean, they're still not attracting a young audience, as we talked about in the news. So this show's just bad. I'm still watching it. I'm still taking brief notes on it. I guess I'll continue to do that for a little bit. But partly it's because I want to see how bad it's going to be, right? Like I'm interested in how low this show is going to sink.
Right.
So a D+ would have failed if it weren't for Walter and Roddy saving it at the end. I don't know. We watched Impact together. Anything notable?
No.
Tasha beat Chelsea Green with a crucifix bomb. I thought it was a decent opener. Cardona tells Gia he failed at getting the Impact World Championship, so now he's downgrading to the Digital Championship, and he's going to challenge Jordan Grace.
I mean, he was the internet champion forever.
Right. The Influence defeated Decay in a short, forgettable match with their tandem skull-crushing finale.
They beat Havoc, okay? Remember?
Yeah, that's right, because basically it was a handicap match.
That was awful.
Rosemary did like an injury thing, complete with the ref throwing up the X, so whether it's real or fake, I don't know, but it ended up with Havoc in a handicap match that wasn't very good. Inspiration cut a promo congratulating the Influence, even said that the Influence are kind of copying them, which we've kind of noted they're very similar, right? Ace Austin tried to get Mike Bailey on his side, and then Johnny Bravo came in and did something dumb. Remember that?
I don't know why.
I don't know. Morrissey killed VSK and Zicky Dice, which I didn't love because I kind of like VSK, but he just got squashed by Morrissey here. The Ring of Honor Invaders, this time they did the classic, they bought tickets to the show, so you can't stop them, right? So D'Amore eventually lets them in and says they need to leave after the Gresham match. Gresham defeated Macklin by pinfall with a figure 4. And yes, you heard that right. It was a pinfall with a figure 4, right? So
yeah, it was like, well, because he did a lot of damage to the legs, so he's kind of like lying back in agony. He was leaning on the ropes, or like Gresham was using the ropes for leverage,
which he's allowed
of the pure
to.
Rules.
Yep.
So I mean, that was kind of interesting.
I like this match, right? The pace wasn't super fast, but I still thought it was good and a contrast in styles. And they did use the pure Rules stuff to their advantage because both of them had used all of their rope breaks. So that's how it sort of came into the finish there. I thought Macklin came out of this looking strong in a loss, and let me say that Hannafin and Riccaboni as a commentary team was sweet. I like both of those guys. ROH guys then are shown leaving the arena as security watches them walk out. We got a really boring Doring Gallows defeating Heath and Rhino with a double choke bomb after a pretty weak flagpole shot from Diener. It's pretty much what I expected here. Lots of punches and kicks, right, in a 9-minute kind of snooze fest, I thought. You can just jump in if you have any thoughts on anything. Alexander defeated Charlie Haas with an ankle lock after 11 minutes.
Thought that was decent.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good match between two good technicians, right? I liked that Haas was attacking the leg repeatedly.
I thought it was really weird that Haas just is there, but I think it's kind of cool.
Haas was targeting the leg. I thought Alexander forgot to sell it at certain times in the match, but I think Alexander gets a quality win as he waits to get back into the main event picture. So I thought this was a solid main event. It's just too bad that it's an outside talent getting TV time, right, from other people. But no, it was good. And then there was sort of a brawl afterward. And of course, the Ring of Honor invaders sort of came in. They call
them Ring of Honor 5, but Maria doesn't do anything. So it's kind of... I wish they would actually have a fifth person, then she's just kind of the valet.
And then the members of the Impact roster that they send down to sort of get rid of them shows where this feud is, right? So it's not a main event feud.
Swan, Edwards, Mac,
like Eddie
Keith,
Edwards is
Rhino.
Leading a bunch of mid-carders, right? And I'm hoping Alexander was just there.
To be fair, those are ROH mid-carders too. So
it is true. So overall, it was a decent show. The Knockouts match I thought was pretty solid, and I liked the Macklin Gresham match in the main event. Both of the tag team matches were unspectacular, and the ROH stuff isn't doing much for me because it's not their main event players really. The talent involved on the Impact side, it just revealed like what level that story is, right? And it's basically Eddie Edwards and then lesser people. So I don't know. I thought it was a B show, some decent wrestling, but nothing really terrible or super notable either. And I think that's it for any other wrestling business, right? That's all we've got this week. So let's move into our final segment where Jack's going to update us. Not sure if it's quick or not this week. I haven't talked about how much you've got, but it's an update from the world of wrestling action figures in Figuring It Out with Jack.
I only have a few things, but Unmatched Series 3 went up for pre-order ringside, which is like the Dark Order set.
Nice.
It's got all the Dark Order people except for, I think, Reynolds.
What about -1?
No.
Oh, no Child?
No. There's Brody, John Silver, Uno Grayson, and Anna Jay, and then there's the LJN Darby, which I think got delayed. I want to say, but so yeah, that's up for pre-order, and then they put out some images for that. The WCW Tag Champ ringside exclusive Undertaker, which has the top with where you can pull the straps down.
Yes, that makes your day, right?
Yeah.
You always love that.
Yeah, and then they just need to incorporate that into singlets or make them out of cloth. But I think this works better because it's some sort of stretchy material, so then you can stretch them down one. So that's cool.
Nice.
And you get like the WCW tag title, but like the later version. So that I don't think they've done that one yet because they did the older WCW tag title when they did the Stunning Steve Austin.
Right.
So this is like the later one. So that's coolio. And then there's also they put up the AEW Action Ring with the UK Cody, which is basically just the small ring, like the spring loaded mat.
Right.
And it was the one with the Cody because this was actually the UK exclusive. So now, like, if you're in the US, you can get this UK exclusive Cody easily on ringside.
How many Cody figures now?
This is one of the early ones. So this one's not new.
Oh, okay.
It's just like it's probably new if you're in the US. So that's kind of cool. It's like a silver Cody with red boots, which is weird because usually he wears white boots.
He does. Is that it?
Yeah, that is it.
That is it.
That is it.
A very quick update. They've been slacking in the figure development, it seems.
Yeah, they don't usually have a lot to reveal.
Right. All right, well, that's going to bring us to the end of episode 79. I don't think there's anything extra coming out this week unless something...
Royal Rumble's next weekend.
Right, so that will be coming, but we'll definitely be back here
That'll be after episode 80.
Correct, which we'll be back for next Saturday, episode 80, coming out then. We appreciate any time you spend listening to the two of us talk about wrestling. We really do appreciate it. We hope to see you back here next Saturday for episode 80. And until then, take care.
Bye.